Hello friends, and welcome back to another extra very special Hobby Titans. Here with us, I'm Zach, and the man to my left is no longer welcome in Esmeralda County, Nevada after the events of last month. I'm talking, of course, about my dear friend and colleague and wanted criminal in Esmeralda County, Nevada, Brett Lee. Brett, how's it going?
Hey, Zach. Yeah, we don't talk about those events in Nevada.
Yeah, what stays in Esmeralda,
Esmeralda
what happens
County.
in Esmeralda County stays in Esmeralda.
Right.
Esmeralda County. I actually researched this. It's like the smallest, least populated county in Nevada.
Oh, well, that's why those events happened there.
Yeah, that's why.
That was relevant to the happening.
They invited that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we're excited to be back, and we're doing some fun stuff today. Fun stuff for us.
Yeah.
We hope fun stuff for you. I will be painting something from the upcoming Eldritch Omens.
That's right.
Box.
It's back there.
It's back there. We'll look. Yep, there's the box. And Brett will be painting also aliens. What are you working on?
Yeah, so I've got a Cadre Fireblade I picked up. So this is the sort of Tau equivalent of your Autarch, right? Maybe not quite as cool.
I don't know.
But like an on-foot HQ choice.
Yeah. Yes.
Sure.
In that capacity, yeah.
Not from the Eldritch Omens box.
Not from the Eldritch Omens
but still
box.
an alien.
And I'm excited actually for Tau fans to see this because Brett did some work on it before painting it here today that I think a lot of Tau fans are going to appreciate.
Yeah.
I know I do.
We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Are we ready to do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's get creative. Okay, so here we go. What you see in the front here is Brett's Tau.
Yeah, so we're just showing off the paint scheme we're going to be painting our HQs in. These are models we've done previously. So we've got some of my Tau there, so we'll be doing gray and orange for the Cadre Fireblade. And then these are the new Shroud Runners, Zach.
Yep, these are the new Shroud Runners from the Eldritch Omens box. Showing them off here today. I've painted them up. We actually made a video that will be releasing tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, that will show how I painted these. It's a quick little 4 minute long video. And you can go through and see if you've ever wondered how I do my Simhan paint scheme, that is like a really nice condensed version of it, you know, as opposed to following along with me here. It's a little more fun to follow along though, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you don't have 2.5 hours, you know, you can watch this video tomorrow.
Yeah. If you do have all these people do have 2.5 hours, or they wouldn't be here right now, I guess.
That's right.
So I will be painting the Autarch, little infantry Autarch here. And
did you have options for that guy, like how to equip him?
I did, and how to equip her.
Her. Oh, it's a she.
Yeah, including that, right? Actually, the Autarch kit has a number of options. It's kind of fun. It can be a man or a woman, and then you can have a few different weapons. There's the spinner, which is what the warp spiders have.
Oh yeah, okay.
You could give her the warp spider jump pack.
Yep.
I did not. I gave her the dragon fire fusion, the dragon
pistol?
fusion.
Yeah.
No, the fusion gun.
Gun.
It's a proper gun.
Okay.
Fusion gun that the fire dragons have.
Yeah.
Which is scary. It's like the piranha fusion.
Yeah, D6 plus 2, and then goes to D6 plus 4.
Yep.
In melter range.
In melter range.
I like it.
Shorter range, I think. I think it's just 12 inches. And she has a Starglaive, which is, according to the Eldritch Omens little book, a little cooler than it currently is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's you get a little preview of what's to come in the unit entries that come in the box.
It's like a confused preview.
Yeah.
Because you don't get points, you get power, which is kind of cool.
Right.
But you also don't know what else is happening.
How many other aura buffs you can stack.
Yeah.
You don't get the whole data sheet. Yeah.
We sort of lament this for play purposes as well because GW graciously sends us these in advance, but not the rest of the rules. So it's a little bit harder to work them into games.
Right.
But when the book does come, she'll be ready to go.
Yeah, we'll have all the models painted and ready, which is awesome. Okay. And why don't I zoom in on you, and we can see where you're at as of this moment.
Yep. All I've done currently is put the base coat down. I'll be honest with you guys, I've been using a lot of different base coats for my Simhan paint scheme. And by base coat I mean primed her black, and now I've put World Eater's red on her. including not even doing this step.
Right.
I've also just gone straight to Mephiston red. I'm not sure I've ever really noticed a difference.
You sold me on the Wordbearers red base coat followed by Mephiston red. I'm convinced that that's the way to do it, but I'll admit I've not tried it without the Wordbearers red.
I'll admit that today we might see, but it's going to be hard to tell on different models and one's infantry, because on the Shroud runners back there, I believe, in fact I know, I just went straight from black to Mephiston red.
Okay.
So I did not do this step, and I've done a few different things. I really don't think it matters much. Maybe we'll see. So there's her main body. She's got also a cloak that we're going to do. I'm excited about.
Oh, and you got
cape.
those. What colors are those?
This is going to end up basically being like Typhon Ash.
Oh yeah.
And she has a banner that goes up here. Okay, we're going to do that, a little backpack. I did not give her the warp spider jump thingy. And she also has a Banshee mask.
Oh my gosh.
In Eldritch Omens, it kind of makes it clear that you cannot give her, if she has the Banshee mask, she can't take much else.
I see.
It's like that, and I think there's one other option that are like apparently too powerful to allow any other of the aspect warrior things.
So you can't stack the Fire Dragon gun, the Warp Spider backpack, and the Howling Banshee mask all on one dude.
I should check it. And actually, we have it here, and we are cleared for this. So let me see for fans curious. It's actually kind of funky. You can give her a Howling Banshee mask.
Wait, should I zoom in on you?
Sure.
Is that okay?
You can give her a Howling Banshee mask or a Manda Blasters.
I see.
Okay, but then down here it says if she's not equipped with either one warp jump generator or one Howling Banshee mask, she can take like everything. Then she can take a Banshee blade, Manda Blaster, Swooping Hawk wings. So you can kind of make her like a super cool warp spider,
right?
Or you can make her a super cool Banshee that doesn't have a Banshee sword,
right? But
has a Banshee mask. That's what I opted for,
right?
Or you can like make her a mix of all the rest of
them.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
all right, cool,
kind of funky. How about you?
Awesome. Yeah, why don't you have the better zoom? So why don't I give you the model? And so this is the Cadre Fireblade model. Has a gun and you'll see some things missing here. The things missing are a cape. I cut the cape off, and he normally has like a bonding knife in his right hand that he's holding up in the air, but it's sheathed for some reason. So he's just kind of like holding it up as like a totem, I guess. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, I didn't love the idea of like the raised high bonding knife, nor did I love the idea of cape. I feel like Tau are not like a cape race. We'll leave that to Space Marines in general and Black Templars in particular. So I spent some time trimming off the cape and sort of green stuffing the gaps and putting the panel lines back in where I had to make some cuts. And then I did a hand swap, so he's just got a pointed high finger. A friend called this the check please pose. He's like, check please, waiter, check please.
Oh my gosh.
Holding his hand in the air.
I know.
Such BM.
Yeah.
And then
don't you hate when you like make a pose that you're hoping is epic and in your mind it is, and the first thing somebody does is be like, oh, are they trying to get a waiter?
Yeah, they're trying to get a waiter. No, so and then I've done a base coat of the cloth, which is Vallejo pale blue-gray. Blue-gray pale, actually. Blue-gray pale. And it's just going to be the cloth, and I'm going to brush paint the armor plates dark gray here in a sec. I
like it. Yeah, we were kind of chatting about, and we were saying that, I have two Cadre Fireblades, and we were kind of mentioning that we feel like Tau are not a race that would wear capes.
Yep.
Like, it's just not really like a Tau thing.
Right.
And so you went to the work of removing the cape, which, how much work was that, by the way?
A lot. It was a lot. It's not, like, the cape comes off easily. It's a separate bit. But he's got this, like, rope that goes across his chest that you need to, like, very carefully...
Is the cape totally separate? It's not...
The cape's totally separate.
It is?
Like, the shoulder has a bit of it.
Right, okay.
But that's covered up by the armor plate.
Oh, okay.
So it's mostly about like getting rid of this rope that goes across his chest, and then it like unfortunately goes right across like the sept marking that's on his chest, and then there's some like other detail on his armor. So there's a bunch of panel lines. We found on sale the other day. Our local game store was having a sale, And we both got these like cool new panel line scribes.
Oh yeah.
And so that was my first project with that was reinstalling some of the panel lines after having done that surgery on the Fireblade.
Kind of a weird tool that we didn't know we needed, and then we used it, both of us, and we're like, wow, this is
like
pretty
immediately
cool.
within like 24 hours, we're like, oh wow, I need this thing that I just randomly picked up without knowing that I needed.
Yeah.
We've got a couple super chats. Should we get started on those?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not organized, so I need to pull those up. Just give me a moment.
That's okay. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me start with, oh my gosh. Going back. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Stuart Dixon. Zach, I need Italian sausage help. My recipe is pork butt, red wine, vinegar, garlic, fresh thyme, oregano, and salt and pepper. Any tips and/or give me your recipe, please?
Well, Stuart, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I don't know if Stuart remembers. I actually,
do you want to give some context to this question?
I don't know what the context is. I have a meat grinder. I do make my own sausage.
Yeah. That's the context.
Okay, that's the context. I do often make my own sausage. I haven't been as much recently. I've been busy. But I do love grinding my own sausage. I think I've mentioned this before on stream, and I probably have also mentioned that I don't love stuffing it. That's what that's what I need to get better at. That said, I have made kind of like a basic Italian sausage before, Stuart. Frankly, your recipe sounds good. The big thing I find, this is ridiculous hobby advice that I'm giving here on this today, but
it's a different kind of hobby.
It's a different kind of hobby. This is actually my hobby. Like cooking and doing weird food stuff is really like my...
Painting is your job. Painting plastic spacemen is your job.
Pretty much, right? So the big thing I find is the only thing that really makes ground sausage like better or worse or can mess it up is the salt.
Oh yeah.
And I actually salt at 1.5%. So I always measure out in grams, and then I salt at 1.5%. Lots of times places will recommend 2% or even as high as 4%. And I don't.
What is that a reference to? Percent?
Of the total weight of the meat.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So however much meat it is, you do 1. I do 1.5.
That sounds like 4%. That sounds ridiculous. Like a giant pile of salt to go with your meat.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess meat does love salt.
Yeah. So I have made kind of like a generic Italian sausage before, but honestly, I usually don't. I usually try and make something a little more exciting for me. Yeah. And the big one I make is this one I call Italian Garden, and it's pork butt or pork shoulder. You're using pork butt. Shoulder is fine too. And then what I do is I add in Pecorino Romano cheese, and then just like you're doing, fresh oregano, fresh marjoram, I think you said oregano and thyme. So I do oregano, thyme, marjoram, and Italian parsley, and I use a ton, like a lot, so that it's like prevalent.
Right. Parsley, parsley's great, especially fresh parsley.
Yeah. So otherwise, your recipe sounds good. Make sure you're salting at the correct percent. Yeah. And for you might want to adjust. I've gone as low as 1.2, and breakfast sausage, like the one I make for us.
Oh my gosh, apples and oranges are my favorite.
I do 1.2. But good luck and experiment. I don't know, Stuart, if you're still around. I'd be curious to see if you're grinding your own meat. Stuart might be the person that has the KitchenAid. I feel like this has come up before, and somebody mentioned they had a KitchenAid with the
which can do a grind.
Which can do a grind. Yeah.
Wow.
There's an attachment for it. I almost said detachment.
There's like a battalion, a patrol, a spearhead, and a KitchenAid detachment.
Yep. Anyway, folks, what I'm doing here is just laying down the airbrush. So I just did Mephiston Red, now Evil Sun Scarlet, and now we get to the fun stuff and all of my weird shampoo bottles of my custom mixed Simhan color, which I love. I love having a unique mix of colors. So I'm going to start with this 1 part Evil Sun Scarlet, 1 part Phalanx Yellow, and 1 part White Scar mix. This is kind of like the main color of my Simhan.
That's the custom paint recipe.
That's it.
All right, we've got another super chat from Steady Breck. Love Hobby Titans. I'm asleep at the moment in the UK. I need help with airbrushes. Talk to me like I'm an idiot. What do I need? Where do I buy it? And how do I use it? Thank you, SteadyBrack.
Okay. What do you think? What do we been telling people? Like, what have you learned that we've been telling people that's right, and what have you learned that we've been telling people that maybe is? And keep in mind, SteadyBrack wants to be talked to like he's an idiot.
Like he's an idiot. Okay. So, yeah. So I am kind of figuring out airbrushes, over the last year or so. And so I'm approaching this as somebody who's also kind of in the early stages of their airbrush journey. Zach's a little bit farther along than me, so maybe, I don't know if that makes my opinion better or more or less valid, but
certainly interesting, as we like to say.
Zach, I intentionally got a different airbrush than Zach has, just so that we could have like a few different models in the studio and sort of compare and contrast them amongst ourselves. And what I've realized is that I really like the setup that Zach has. So I picked up an H&S Infinity and an Iwata Eclipse. And the Iwata especially is sort of has sort of a mid-range needle. It's 0.35 millimeters. Compared to sort of most sort of normal hobby airbrushes are 0.5 millimeters. So it's a little bit smaller than a standard airbrush needle. But then the detailed airbrushes are 0.25. So the Sotar that Zach's using right now is a detail. It's meant specifically for detail work, and it has a 0.25 millimeter needle. And so what that means is that you can get much finer spray, and it sort of clogs a little bit easier because it has a smaller opening. And then the sort of standard airbrush that we have in the studio is the Badger Patriot 105, the Badger 105. Mm-hmm. And that has a 0.5 millimeter needle, like we said, and is great for just sort of bulk application of paint. It's good for priming, it's good for base coating. It rarely, if ever, clogs, and it just is kind of a workhorse. It does a lot of different things really well. It doesn't do details especially well, but that's why you have the Sotar.
Right.
So yeah, just kind of bringing it back around, I had thought maybe I'd try out the Iwata Eclipse, because again, it sort of tries to find a middle ground between the 0.5 of the Patriot and the 0.25 of the Sotar. But what I realized is that it doesn't do either as well as the two that you have. So what I've realized is that I really appreciate when I just want to prime and put down a base coat, I reach for the Badger because I just want it to be quick and I don't care about detail.
We also have the PSI on that tank up higher.
Really high.
And we can get to that in a sec. We don't want to add too much weird information. Yeah.
And I find that when I'm looking to do really fine detail work, that the Iwata is not fine enough, that the 0.35 needle is not small enough. And I really wish that I had the 0.25 needle of the Sotar. So, I don't know if this is the advice you're looking for, but I feel like there's sort of, as much as airbrushing is like one activity, there are really sort of two workflows with airbrushing. One is like, I'm just trying to get a base coat, some primer or a base coat on a model.
Right.
And the other is I'm trying to like do a smooth fade or to get one panel but not another, sort of actual art rather than just like putting paint on a flat surface.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense when you think about it that way, that there's like two different ideal tools for those two different activities.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. So my favorite thing to recommend is for airbrush is honestly the Badger Patriot 105. We have, for a while I kept telling people I hear a lot of people use the Iwata. Right. I actually don't know anybody. We have some friends in the group who use the Iwata and like it. I don't know of anybody that's used both. So for a while
you and I have.
You and I have. And for a while I was saying, I kept saying like, oh, I'm sure the Iwata is fine. We know great painters that swear by it. Yeah. But I actually wouldn't be my favorite to recommend. Honestly, the big reason I like the Badger, one of the things we've talked about over and over again, it's easy to clean.
Super easy to clean.
And the size of the needle, especially when you're starting off, like I went years and painted multiple armies, multiple terrain sets with just the Patriot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I decided I wanted to try to start doing more advanced things that I even got the Autarch. And I was able to accomplish a lot just with the Patriot 105.
Yeah.
I know starting off, you might be thinking, well, I want to start where Zach's saying he eventually got to, and not that I'm not saying that as I got somewhere you can't. You could get there sooner than me or after me, just depending on how much you paint. So. Early on, I would honestly just get the Patriot 105.
Yep, absolutely agree. It's a great starting tool because you're going to be able to use it for priming and base coating while you sort of, get used to airbrushing as a, because there's a whole process and a workflow and a setup, and there's some muscle memory you have to build. And then, a couple years in, if you're finding that you want a little more control or a little more, be able to do a little more detail, then pick up a second airbrush. But I went into it thinking, well, if I'm willing to spend a little more money, is there a tool out there that can do both? And the conclusion I came to is that there is not, because they're meant for very different things. And so just sort of accept that you're going to need two tools, and I think the setup you've got with the Patriot and then the Autarch is a great combination of two different tools. Yeah,
now, and Melody's making a case as well for the Iwata. We do like the Iwata. The big issue I don't like about the Iwata is it's kind of hard to access the needle. When you have the cap on it, you can take the cap off.
Oh yeah.
Then the needle feels a little exposed.
Yeah, just like the Infinity here too. So on yours, you can remove the needle straight out the back,
which is good for cleaning,
without needing to take off this back cap.
Yeah.
Both the Iwata and the Infinity, you have to unscrew this back cap in order to pull the needle off. And it's at the point where Adrian's an Iwata user. He just uses his airbrush like this all the time. He doesn't even have this back cap screwed on, which at that point you then worry potentially about running the risk of bumping it and bending the needle, or if this falls out of the stand on the floor, and it lands on this thing, then you're.
And for what it's worth, it does stick out kind of exposed on the Autarch here. You guys can see, but not that much.
Right. On the Patriot, it's super well protected, but also accessible, which is kind of neat.
So that is the brush. Now, as far as the compressor goes, what you're going to want to do is go on Amazon as a start, whether you buy from Amazon or not. The compressors are funky. There is a brand name, and somebody in chat's going to know the brand name of the one we all use. But then it's one of these things that I think also just gets made.
Yeah, and white labeled.
And white labeled all over Amazon, and I think I've gotten some of those white labeled ones, and they've been fine. They've been running great. So I think it's not like kind of Brett was talking about earlier. It's not an artisanal tool, an artisan tool. It's a tool.
It just needs to make air.
You do want it to. You do want a couple features though. You do want to make sure it has a tank. There are some that don't have a tank.
Right.
You could get one of those. We know a guy that our friend Elias has one like that, and it's just kind of funky. It's always making noise, always running. I don't know. To me, it's maybe okay, but it seems a little overworked. That might not matter, I don't know. So there's that, and then the other thing, if you do end up with a Badger, you'll want to do a little bit of research and search on Amazon, look around, and make sure you have the right adapters, because you will need a particular adapter to connect your airbrush to your hose.
Yeah, Badger uses a different thread than literally every other airbrush company,
which is kind of funky.
Which is kind of weird.
And we actually like this quick connect.
Yeah, the quick release.
Although this one doesn't work.
Yeah, it broke.
It broke, but the other one has been fine.
Yeah, and sometimes it unbreaks. Sometimes it works.
Sometimes it unbreaks for a while. And we kind of know how to fix it, and we kind of know what's up with it, and we sort of tolerate it. We should just get a new one though.
Yeah.
But good luck. And it's not scary, but what I will say is this. What I found when I was starting airbrushing is I did have a little bit of problems making sure I had the right fittings. So if you're in our Discord, just give me an @ I forget the name of this user now. It's been a while, but just give me an @ and it's okay, Brett. But they can give me an @ or you an @ and we can make sure that send us a message and we'll make sure I can post you the right fittings and the right tools, everything you need.
Yep.
If you end up going with the Badger, I do think for what it's worth, I do think the Iwata is good too. I'm just not in love with the lack of the needle followed by the exposed needle. The Iwata feels fairly easy to clean too, I think.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's the Infinity that we don't love the cleaning on.
Yeah, and being able to clean the airbrushes, I think always the most important part of an airbrush.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for the
All right.
For the support.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Curtis. Zach, painting the librarian from the Dark Vengeance box. How would you paint an OSL glow effect on the outstretched hand? P.S. You can't airbrush. I think this is the guy that's like got. Is this the Phobos that's got like one hand on his?
Super cool. He's like got a hood on
his forehead, and he's like reaching out.
Yeah.
I think that's who he's talking about.
Yeah, the Dark Vengeance box was the first like Primaris box. I know there's some cool Phobos stuff in there. Either way, you can accomplish really good lighting effect, OSL effect, glow effect with dry brushing especially.
Yeah.
Equally as good as with an airbrush, maybe not as quick. But I would say research that in addition to the answers I'm going to give you. But then in addition to that, there's sort of like two main ways to do glow effect. One is kind of cover the area with the darkest color first and then work your way into white.
Right.
And in this regard, you'd probably start with like, if you're going to do blue, for example, like a fairly dark blue, but not like a leaning towards black type blue. You don't want it to be that dark because like that doesn't really happen. Like light doesn't spread in a really dark way. You know what I mean? Like the outer shine of a blue or red light is not like a really dark.
Yeah.
Right. So Curtis, you want to do like maybe kind of like a medium tone, maybe like one of the ultramarines colors, for example, if you're doing blue. And you really always with the dry brush make sure it's like really like dry.
Really dry.
Really dry. I always like mostly using unless I'm doing like some kind of dry brush. Anytime I'm dry brushing on a flat surface for some reason like that, I always want to use
really hard.
soft of a I want to use as soft of a brush as I can.
I tried using the makeup brush for a model recently and was really impressed. Like
the makeup
really
brush
soft
is cool.
brush, get it really.
Yep.
But yeah, I think dry brush. I think you could also do, if you really wanted to, like a glazing, or you could do something where you basically dry brush white, and then put like and sort of do a highlight, sort of progressively lighter white towards the center, and then dry brush it less and less as it goes outwards. Yeah. And then put a wash or an ink over top.
Yep, the inks are cool. I've recently been into the AK,
ink.
Third generation inks. Yeah. Basically, in this regard, you're using like super light grays and whites to kind of create this effect.
Right.
And then ink the whole thing.
And then you color it after the fact.
Right. Yeah. So that's one technique. Whites and light grays, like getting closer to pure white, like on his hand, wherever the psychic power or whatever's coming from, and then ink it. Or you can just use layer paints or base coat paints and just do the dry brush. Sure. Either way, you're doing the dry brush effect. But in this way, you're going to go from like a dark, like a medium blue to like a slightly brighter medium blue to like a light blue to a white. And don't be afraid to like break out the wet palette and do blends.
Yep.
But honestly, if you're doing like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different coats, that's probably too much. Maybe 5 is okay. And look on Instagram. There's so many people so many great painters that post these exact type of questions that are like, how do I do this exact one single thing? Yeah. And you can see the pictures, and then through a combination of their steps and some practice, I think you'll be pretty happy with the result. That's what I would kind of always recommend.
Yeah, that's good. Why don't we check in with you, Zach?
Oh yeah.
What are you working on?
I am on a cape here. So I already did my base coat on the cape, which was XV88. Now I'm doing, this was, I think it's called, Karak Stone. And meanwhile, her armor and everything is done. here she is. So not done, but airbrush done. So I have that to do. And then here now are the capes, but I have another coat to do there. Ultimately, her helmet is going to be white. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down a layer of this Karak stone here on her helmet as well. Just so I'm not going like straight from black to white.
Yeah.
When I airbrush, but honestly, I probably would be okay to do that. But this just makes it a little bit easier. So just putting a little bit of that down. This is not going to be the color of her helmet at all. It really is going to be a true white. But there we go. Nice and easy. I love painting a single infantry model. It's like one of my favorite things. Like
especially this one's sort of like heroic scale even too. It's a little bit
exactly
different.
Yeah. Like any kind of like single infantry character is like one of my favorites to do.
Yeah, it's fun. You sort of have permission to go a little bit deeper, to spend a little more time, to get some of the details that you might skip if you had to do a whole squad.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the details you might really want to skip, right? So
yeah, exactly.
You're not doing that forever. Just give my airbrush a quick cleaning here. Lots of water, as always, running through. Squirting it into my yucky water.
And you're not using any cleaning solution here. This is just
water.
Just water.
We always do cleaning at the end, and I dump that into a bigger pot.
All right, and then meanwhile, I am working on just doing some brushwork on the armor plates. So my paint scheme is sort of a light gray cloth, and then dark gray armor plates. And so I did the light gray with the airbrush because that's sort of not because there's more of it, but more just because it's sort of the lower down on the. If you think of how this person gets dressed, they first put their pants on and then and their shirt on, and then they put these armor plates on top. So the cloth is lower, and so it's a little easier to paint that with the airbrush, and then do the armor plates with a paintbrush. And also the coverage on the lighter color, it's more difficult with a paintbrush. I probably have to do 2 or 3 layers if I were brush painting the cloth color. But by doing it with the airbrush, it just kind of speeds up that process for me. And I don't have to do, because the dark gray obviously covers a lot better. So still just kind of looks like a gray blob, but we'll get a little more definition here as we get some more armor plates done. All right, shall we look at the next super chat?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Hazard Brewing. Hello, Titans. Thanks for the Patriot/Sotar endorsement. My 20-year-old Patriot got screwed up when I changed nozzles and needles at some point. I used the Patriot last night, priming for like 2 hours and no clogs. It was glorious. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. You can, if you really can only make one airbrush work, and you're thinking you'll get a finer detail one, and you'll just suffer through doing priming with a Sotar, for example. You absolutely can do that. It just takes you forever, and it's going to clog a bunch, and it's going to be painful. So.
Yeah, I feel like I will say again, I think like the constantly running water through things trick.
Yep.
Really helps my Sotar doesn't clog too often. Typically, if it clogs, for me, it's because I'm learning about a new type of paint. And when I say learning about a new type of paint, I'm learning that it can't go straight into my Sotar.
Learning not to use that type of paint?
Well, no. I've kind of famously said often on the stream, like, hey, I don't thin my paint.
Right.
I can typically run any Citadel. I just did it right now. I just ran a bunch of Citadel air through my Sotar without any clogs and without thinning it.
It is air paint, right?
It is Citadel air, yeah. Absolutely.
But a lot of people will tell you that even air paint you should thin.
Yeah, I haven't really had a problem with it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I really think the reason that this happens is because there's no paint currently living.
Yep.
I can confidently say there's no specks of paint, little clumps of paint, little dry chunk, plaque, basically, paint plaque living on the inside of my airbrush. So I don't have that. That's just because I run water through it constantly.
Yeah, and one thing that I see you do a lot is not only do you, when you're done, you squirt water in the cup, but you don't then run that water out the tip. You dump it first.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea there is that, like, if there's little bits of dried paint that are sort of clinging to the inside of the cup, you don't want to like run those through your airbrush because there's lots of fine passageways in the airbrush. You don't want those little bits of dried paint to get stuck in those fine passageways. You want to dump those out the way they came in.
Yep.
And not have those, as little paint as possible running through those passageways.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think like that's really the big thing I've learned about airbrushing. It has the nozzle size and PSI on the tank and all that stuff. I think people get really caught up on that stuff.
Yep.
What I've really learned helps you airbrush is just keep your airbrush very clean. Think of it as something that you cannot let anything sit in it, any paint live in there for any amount of time. You go from one color to the next. You've been airbrushing for 3-4 minutes. Doesn't matter, whatever the situation is, stop, run water through it.
Yep.
Like you can't, I don't know. I don't think they're really good at like switching one color to the other without doing a good rinse or.
Yeah. Yeah, just lots of water, lots of water.
Lots of water.
And I was cursing earlier today, trying to get some priming done and base coating, and I got a clog, and I was like, oh, yep, it's been like 2 or 3 minutes since I ran water through.
I also like to do like a kind of the gentle, I think people call it backflow, where I put when the needle's pulled back, I like do a little bit of this real quick. And actually, I'll show you guys, I'll have Brett do a zoom in on after I do this white right now. And you'll be able to see that the backflow thing is useful. And I'll actually show you then how to clean up after the backflow. Because if you don't clean up after the backflow, then you are getting paint back in your chamber. So real quick.
Now?
What's that?
Now?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna quick do her helmet, and then I'll clean the brush and kind of show that. Boy, this ended up being like an airbrushing episode, which is good. Ooh, I did get some sticky goo on my blade.
Uh-oh.
That'll be okay. Okay. So white here. So even with the Sotar and with my consistency, I'm always checking here on the side so I don't get splatters. If one color is going to splatter, it's going to be white. We're not going to get splatters now once it's running. We're going to get splatters if we stop and then go again. This is a little one. Not too bad though.
Yeah, you worry about them at the start.
Yep. Okay, there we go. So, okay, there's her helmet. So I'll set that to the side. And then I'll show you guys real quick. So this here, maybe Brett, one zoom less.
Sure.
There we go, okay. As Brett's saying, I do this first. Which is I'm basically blasting all the paint out. If there's a lot left in there, I would have probably dumped it back into. Okay, so pretty clear. You can see here now, pretty clear water. Okay, then I'm going to run through, but you can see when I shoot the side, it's white, which means it's not as clear. So then watch when I do the blowback. Right there, you see how it all turned white. So that meant that there was still paint like very much living in the chamber, which we don't want. So do blowback a few more times like this. Make sure it's all out. And I don't stop cleaning my airbrush. I know when to stop because the water's clear.
Yeah.
So then sometimes when you shoot that water back, some of the water will come up into here, some of the painty water, and you don't want that messy either. So to fix that, you just can actually put water behind the trigger and blast it out.
That's a cool trick.
So you're really just making sure, like, no matter where you put water in, it comes out clean water. I put water in the pot, it comes out clean water. I do the blowback again, that's clean water. I put water behind the trigger, that's clean water. And then I know that that it's clean. If you haven't been doing this and you want to like super clean your airbrush for the first, you'll want to super clean your airbrush the first time to confirm that there's no paint living in there. And then after that, you'll know that every time you do this, if you blast the airbrush clean, there's no paint there. And you're still gonna have to do like deep cleanings every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is like, if you do that in between each color change, you're gonna have clogs a lot less, and you're not gonna have paint mixing between rounds, and you're gonna have better flow and less spider webbing, or not spider webbing, but less droplets.
Spider webbing. Yeah, and I think I'm done with the airbrush for a little bit now anyway.
Okay.
I might do it on, I probably will do a little thing on her blade, but so now I am going to use cleaner, get cleaner in there. If you use a Q-tip, just make sure, you know, Kat was saying she doesn't love the Q-tip because she's worried about getting like little Q-tip fibers in there.
Yeah.
I honestly, I just look and try to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
To see if any of them are coming off. And then, same thing, I won't shoot this to the airbrush, I'll pour it out. Just in case there are any on there. So after I know, like I've been airbrushing, what time is it? Let's see. 6:42, so I've been airbrushing for about half an hour.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing a pretty thorough cleaning, but also I happen to be done for now.
And you use Q-tip and some cleaner.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite brand of cleaner?
No, not yet.
Yeah. The cleaner's pretty... It all kind of does the thing, right? It cleans.
Yeah. Maybe I do, and I just don't. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but not yet. Well, I do love cleaner that smells like cleaner.
Oh yeah, we talked about this in an earlier show.
It makes me nervous if it doesn't smell.
If the cleaner just doesn't have a smell, you're like, is this just water? Did I just spend like $8 for a bottle of
Did I
water?
just buy water? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, airbrushing, nothing to be afraid of, I think.
Just do it.
Just do it. And
Get some test models.
Yeah, you'll learn.
Or some terrain.
Terrain, we always recommend terrain, yeah. Okay, fun. So she has been airbrushed.
I'll zoom in on you.
Yeah.
You can see the state of things.
Okay, there's her armor. Now I'm gonna have to be doing some brush stuff. Here's her cape, there's her banner. I'm gonna now do a decal, because I feel like decals are the next logical step after you're done airbrushing a model. Because no matter what I do, how I handle this model, the decal isn't going to come off. So...
That's confidence right there.
Well,
you can use your itty bitty scissors?
No.
Oh, we talked about this. They're not, you don't think they're...
I don't, yeah.
Decal
I bought like a
scissors?
funky pair of scissors for decal. Well, I don't know why I bought them. I bought them because they were on the sale. That
The same rack as our panel line scriber.
Yeah, as this thing, actually, which I have right here. Which looks just like a weird...
It's like a sharp poker. It's like a
Surgical.
metal toothpick.
Yeah. So here we go. I'm gonna do a little decal here, which I love doing.
Yeah, decal work is fun.
Decal work is fun. So we're gonna do that on that side.
Now, do you have some micro set and micro sol?
I do.
Okay, good.
I do. I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna do on the other side of the banner, because the Simhan symbols on the decal are all white.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want that on a like, beige banner. So I have to figure out. I have to find some of the darker ones.
Have you ever done any like where you put the decal on, but you want a different color, and so then you like trace over it or ink over it or something to change the color or tint it a little bit?
Yes, I did that on my Aeronautica Orcs.
Oh yeah. How did it come out?
It came out good because they were red models.
Yeah.
And on white decals, and I used a yellow wash. And so, like, if I got off the panel line, if I like missed or anything, you can never really tell. The yellow doesn't like do anything to the red. So that said, that's the only reason I did that. I'd be very nervous to do that, like turn like white decals on like a yellow background blue or something like that. That would make me kind of nervous.
Yeah, I went through this thought process. It's relevant with Tau because their armor color, they're not like Space Marines where for Space Marines, their armor color denotes their chapter. For Tau, it's different. They can have whatever color they want. They camouflage their armor according to their theater of war. Mm-hmm. But then their sept markings, which are the decals, are meant to be sort of call out which chapter they're from or which sept they're from.
Right.
But in the box, they only give you, well, the old boxes used to have white, which is Tau sept, and the new boxes are red, which is Vior La sept.
Yeah.
But if you want to play literally any other sept than those two, you're kind of out of luck.
Right.
And so I was going through this phase when I was just getting started with this army, when I was like, man, I really want a different color decal. I love orange decals, for example, but I don't know, no idea how to get them aside from like printing my own. So I went down this path of like, well, could I use the white ones and then paint over them with orange? And man, that sounds like a lot of work. And
well, and of course there are companies that make them, or you can.
There are not though. I've never seen like different color Tau sept.
What's the
decals.
one? Oh, what's the company I get my stencils from?
Oh, did I just not Google Foo? Was my Google Foo just bad?
I don't know. There's a company that makes. Well, what they'll do is this one company will do like custom ones.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can pretty much like send them the Tau symbols and stuff
So
like
I'd
that.
have to design them myself.
Well, not design them. You can like get the originals and just be, can you make these purple or can you make these blue or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I forget the name of the company. Somebody probably knows. Yeah. And you know you can paint them, but it really you know you're working with dark gray. You might be able to.
Yeah, it's just they're a giant pain in the butt. You know, it's not. There's like dash dash dot. It's like Morse code. You know, there's like different sized dashes and dots, and they're all meant to be straight lines. It's not organic. So if you're a little wavy with them, it it shows up really clearly.
Yeah.
All right. So you're decaling.
I'm decaling. I'm actually going to wait. I have this decal, which will be the one that faces front. I'm actually going to wait to do a decal in the back until I look up what all of these decals mean. This is the new sheet. I have there's a key out there for the old sheet, and many of these symbols are the same from the new decal sheet. The new decal sheet's not anything special. It's fine. It's got a lot of cool. It's great, but it's not like. There's nothing. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is it doesn't have like how they have like the very specific like velour sept ones and stuff like that. There's no. They didn't give like specific.
There's no like Siam Han
ones. Well, there's a chunk of them here, but like they're all white. So I have to look up what some of these other ones mean. These are the aspects. One of these is the Banshee, and I forget which one.
They don't label it.
There is a key.
Oh, but it's
online.
in the book. Yeah.
Yeah. And so same with these symbols, I have to look in. Oh, I think a lot of these are for vehicles.
Oh, okay.
So I have to look and kind of see which one I'm going to put on the other side of her.
What is there a specific aspect that you would want to put on if you knew what it was?
She has Banshee gear.
Right.
So I might give her a Banshee one, and I can maybe imagine using her helping out of a Wave Serpent either with Banshees or Dire Avengers or something like that. So not really. I mean, kind of what you're doing with a foot Autarch is making them like a specialized version of an Exarch. Like she's almost like a.
They're a little more than an Exarch, but not quite a. What's the.
Phoenix Lord.
Phoenix Lord. Yeah. They're like more than an Exarch, but not quite a Phoenix Lord.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know, that's kind of the thought process here. But I just need to make sure. Samhain is the serpent. I do know that, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the other.
All right, Melody is offered. Put the thing back on the screen. She's offered to tell you which one's the Banshee.
It's okay. Thank you, Melody. There is a key. Pac-Man Ghost.
All right, I'll zoom in. Here you go.
Okay, that's probably that one. Yeah, with the 3 prongs pointing down is the Banshee. So I would want to use. Yeah, but see, there isn't a big one. So I still need to look up what some of these other ones are.
Yeah. Thomas says there's an Autarch specific rune.
That's probably one of these.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. My guess is maybe it's one of these. I know these are Farseers, like with the eyes.
Oh yeah.
The Trident is Banshee, but if one of these black ones here is the Autarch specific one, maybe I'll use that. Yeah, there is a rune for basically every unit. Triangle with 3 prongs is Banshee.
Right.
Right. I know that one.
There's like a 30-second delay. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to see, if anybody knows which one is the Autarch, let me know.
Okay.
I'll probably put that one on the back here. Cool. Cape, I think currently is going to look like this. I actually might put some blue on it. I'm not sure yet. Back of the banner is good. I can also add decal later. Don't have to only add the decal. You can kind of add decals at any time after airbrushing. Don't add them before airbrushing. Pro tip, don't add your decals before you airbrush your model.
Yeah, I tend to wait a little longer than you, but now that, I think I'd end up doing a little more brushwork than you also.
It kind of depends if you feel like your decal, like, I don't know. I've not really had them come off on me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Edge highlighting is what rubs off. So that's like, I always do that last.
Yeah.
Personally. Okay, fun. So, cool, she is ready for some recess washing. Where are you at, Brett?
I had this moment where I was like, I looked up in the book a Cadre Fireblade is in the lore, it's like sort of like a chassel rank. So it's like not quite a commander, but it's more than a chasvray or a chasui. They call it a chaznel. There's like an N in there. A chaznel. It's someone who like was eligible to attain the rank of chazel, but like decided not to.
Okay.
And is hanging out with his buddies in the in the line troops.
Yeah.
And so I looked up what the sort of helmet coloration pattern was for chazel in the book, because they give you like in the codex they show you like, all right, here's how the helmet is colored for each of the different ranks of battlesuit pilots. And so I'm basically applying the chazel pattern painting scheme to not to a battlesuit, but to an infantry guy. And so that is, in this case, that's the color of the set marking is applied to the helmet, the entire helmet, and then aerial is left the normal color. So he's going to have an orange helmet with a gray aerial in this case. And then I'm kind of debating what to do. I think I'm going to do the shoulder pad similar. I don't want to do the shoulder pad all orange as well. They're kind of three different colors. I have a dark gray, a light gray, and this orange.
Which is the color? Yeah, those are your guys.
So I'm going to do. I'm doing the helmet, the orange color right now. And we've talked about this in the past, but this paint looks very different depending whether I airbrush it or whether I brush it on. And so I'm realizing I probably should have airbrushed this. I like the color of it airbrushed better than painted on, brush painted on. It looks much more vibrant when brush painted on. And it has sort of a more dull, muted look, a little bit darker when airbrushed. And so this guy's helmet is going to be very standout-ish compared to some other guys in the army, which, I don't know, maybe not a bad thing, but I also might go back and paint it black and then repaint it orange later.
With the airbrush? I mean, you can mask. We have the masking putty.
Yeah, that's true. Could do that. I actually am sort of happy with how this came out. I don't know if it's because I didn't put as many layers on or what, but he actually doesn't look as sort of bright and gaudy as... Which is good. Which is what I'm after. Yeah.
That's a good thing to learn.
Yeah. So just a few less coats, I think, and it's okay. Or I could also, now that we did the episode on capes with the cat, and I've learned glazing, I might go over it with a little bit of black, just heavily glazed, like super thin down, and tone it down that way.
Now, Melody, you mentioned which one was the Autarch, and that's only in yellow here.
Yeah.
So I'm out of luck. I could maybe put it on and trace it with black if I think I could do, but I'm not going to do that right now on stream. So I'll look. We'll see how we do in time, and if I find another. I also will check my old Eldar sheets to see what's on those. But
you might have one the right color there.
There might be a black on the old one, the Autarch symbol in black. Okay, so I'm just doing a little bit of recess washing, and shading on her right now, which is almost done. I use this Garsberg Crimson color to shade my Simhan. So unlike my Tau, which I use their green and I use purple to shade. I don't really want that kind of like cyberpunky alien look on my Eldar, on my Asariani. So I use the same color, just a darker version.
Yeah, your Tau and your Eldar, you can tell they're painted by the same person. They have a similar style, but they have very different vibes.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
that's going for that with the. I didn't really want to have like kind of bright, vivid.
Yeah.
Eldar. I wanted them to have a little bit more of like a fantasy vibe.
Right.
Fantasy in space, Age of Sigmar in space.
Age of Sigmar in space.
Kind of a look. Brett, should we do top 5? We did a fun top 5.
Yeah, we've also got some more super chats.
Oh, let's do something. Let's do all the things.
Let's catch up on super chats.
I'm like easy for me to say because I'm not the one who has to work the mouse.
Thank you, Megan.
Oh boy, here we go.
Chat, what should Zach and I have for dinner? I really have no clue.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully that got resolved.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, she didn't ask. What's the protocol when a fan, regardless of if it's my wife or not, a fan asks chat a question through a super chat?
I think.
Do we do anything?
Well, so chat has now obviously seen this question, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if chat answered the question or not. This is the downside to actually painting something while being the producers. You don't get to pay attention to live chat as closely.
Bridger has been.
Let's see.
Bridger has been on traveling and/or on what's called pager duty for his full time, and so I've been doing a lot of producing recently, and I've not gone to like cook a proper dinner in a little while, and I kind of miss that.
So there were some suggestions.
Yeah, what am I? Let's see.
Etouffee was suggested.
Etouffee.
Pizza was suggested. Thai was suggested.
Okay.
I
Hopefully
think
Meg
that's
did
it.
not hunt down etouffee. I think she knows better. Not the worst.
What that is.
It's like etouffee is like actually usually in the Bay Area when you order gumbo, what you get is etouffee, like ricey, saucy, ricey dish. Gumbo is like actually supposed to be a watery, like a little more watery.
Yep.
But I don't think Meg would have picked that. So anyway, I'll find out when I get home. I can be surprised.
Is she gonna make the choice?
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
No, you could express an opinion here and now. Zach,
Oh no, it's okay. I'm fine with anything. She knows not to order. I think like Louisiana food
or Little Caesars.
Or Little Caesars. Yeah.
She knows not to order Little Caesars.
She knows not to order Little Caesars.
Oh man. All right. Thank you, Caldorf. Going to try out my Iwata Neo on my Necrons. Also going to try out some color shift paint from Vallejo. They suggest a glossy primer. Any recommendations?
The Vallejo gloss primer that we have
is amazing. Yeah.
is really great,
and it's great with metallics, right?
Yes, it's also with metallics. So you just go. I got it off Amazon. It's the same primer we use. Actually, it looks like this.
Make sure to mark it with lots of crosses.
You can show Brett if you want to do a zoom. We'll show. I made sure to write gloss and circle this and put all these weird symbols all over it so we knew, like when you grab a primer, because we have a bunch of bottles of this, and when you go to grab one of these, you're like, what is going on with this bottle?
Yeah, I know.
You're like, oh my gosh, it's the gloss.
Zach had a project, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but there was a project that you were working on that required that you were doing just this gloss primer with metallic over it.
Right.
Did you use Turbo Dork?
Turbo Dork.
Specifically. And so you bought this gloss primer, and it was while I was out for a little while, and I came back and just like immediately was like, all right, cool. Like first day back, I'm gonna prime some stuff. Went and like grabbed a thing, and I was like, what is this? And I was like, Zach, why does this bottle of primer have paint pen all over it, and Cross is like, should I not use it? And he was like, that's the gloss. And I put all of those marks on there so that just so that you wouldn't accidentally use it.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty much like the paint equivalent of rat poison that you're for some reason like in movies and cartoons and stuff when like rat poison was stored in the kitchen.
That's right.
Beside like in the pantry like in the 50s. I'm sure nobody in the 50s actually did that.
It has the comical like skull and crossbones.
Yeah,
on it.
like all over it. Like
yeah.
I should get those Mr. Yuck stickers and put them all over. The gloss paint.
All right. So definitely think that's a great idea. Glossy primer, and it works well with metallics. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool
your
look.
metallics are going to look way less grimdark though, if that's what you want. If you want grimdark, use a matte.
You can potentially tone it down with like a null oil or something, some kind of wash after the fact. If you,
I think so.
wanted to.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what your next steps are.
Yeah.
But they will look quite vivid. Like imagine like for a while up here there was a Stingray Corvette that my father-in-law got me that I need to paint up. Like it's the kind of paint you would want to like imagine like that. Like I'm going to paint like a model Corvette from like cherry red.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of got that thing going on.
That's a neat vibe.
Yep.
But it's a very specific vibe.
It's a very specific vibe.
And you can achieve it by doing a glossy primer. All right, thank you, Bryce.
Oh, Bryce. Is this our Bryce?
It is.
Oh, okay. Hi, Bryce.
Bryce Kingman. Primarch Lorgar of the Word Bearers wrote the Lectitio Divinitatus. Does that make Black Templars almost Word Bearers? I might continue my Word Bearers after the CSM book release after Skaven. Sorry, I don't actually know what that book is. I'm assuming it has some relevance to the Black Templars. If so, I would counter with all Space Marines were created by the Emperor, half of whom defected to Chaos. Does that make the Emperor
Chaos?
almost Chaos? Yeah.
Well, a lot of people
almost
think
Word Bearers.
a lot of people think that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like all Space Marines have some sort of common ancestry. I don't know that it does. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah.
The good guys and the bad guys in the 41st millennium.
Right, like you, Bryce. If you're still in chat, let us know what that book is. I, like Brett, I don't know enough about that lore to comment, I guess.
Yeah, I think he was taunting me.
Oh, I see.
Because Bryce plays two Chaos armies.
He does.
He's building Word Bearers, but also plays Dark Angels.
Oh yeah. Oh yikes.
Oh snap, Bryce.
Taunted him back.
That's right. And I've not. Bryce and I have a game on the books, which we've not played yet, but we've talked about it. And I think it's going to be versus the Templars. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, Black Templars versus
Dark Angels, probably.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. He's been painting a lot of bikes recently, so I think it's more Ravenwing than not Deathwing. But I don't know. We'll see. Could be Tau also. Dark Angels hate all of those people. All right. Why don't we? I'll zoom in on you real quick. We can see where you're at, and then we can do top fives.
I'm currently edge highlighting her mask with the same color I airbrushed. This is almost exactly the same point Brett was making earlier, which is that paint goes on a little differently when you airbrush as opposed to when you paintbrush. So I'm able to use the, there we go. I'm able to use the same white, which in this case is Skull White from Minotaur. I'm able to use that really sort of as like the subtle edge highlight here on her helmet. Just a couple little spots right there, right there. And now we're gonna do the plumes. Oh, and I also need to do eyes. And I need to find my yellow to do those, which is right back here.
Bryce clarified that the book he was referencing is related to the belief that the Emperor is a god, and that's true. The Black Templars are not Codex compliant in the sense that they don't have librarians, but they also believe that the Emperor is a literal god, and so they're unique in that regard. And I think that was the little bit of the Horus Heresy that I've read. That was sort of what started all of it. Is the word bearers were like,
oh, I see,
proclaiming that, and
then yes,
and other Space Marines were like, no, he's not, and there was like some conflict there. That was sort of a taboo thing. The Emperor didn't want people proclaiming.
Oh, I see. So I see his point. So yeah,
divine.
that's very interesting. The Black Templars in this regard have come full circle.
Yeah. No, it's weird. They're like, hey, you're not supposed to believe that the Emperor's a god, except we do, and we're good guys about it. You know, Black Templars have shown that it's possible to believe that the Emperor's a god without falling to chaos.
Interesting.
For better or worse.
Look, we knew the Imperium was rife with hypocrisy.
And it's there's a lot of different people in the Imperium, and they believe a lot of different things.
Right.
But yeah, I think Word Bearers and Black Templars would have an interesting philosophical conversation about who the Emperor is and what he means to humanity.
I like the concept of it.
If they could
not
kill each other first. Right?
Not just purely murder each other, yeah.
Which is probably what would actually happen. But, if they were forced to sit in chairs next to each other and talk it out, I think they'd have a lot in common.
Interesting.
All right, shall we top 5?
That's top 5. I'm excited for today's top 5.
Okay, so this is different from fan stuff.
This is different from fan stuff.
Which we will get to in a sec.
Which we will get to, yes.
Yeah, all right. So, why don't you go first?
You want me to go first? Okay, I'll go first.
All right. So, the top 5 we're doing today, because we're both painting aliens, we're doing top 5. Oh, sorry. It says favorite mechs, but it's actually favorite aliens.
Oh no, I forgot to change that.
That's fine. Mine is changed.
I changed yours.
You changed mine.
I changed yours. I forgot to change mine.
All right. So this is actually top 5 favorite aliens. We just forgot to change the title.
And when Brett says we, it was me. It was my bad.
That's fine. I checked everything before the show, so I share some blame.
Okay, favorite aliens. So what we did, we specifically want to talk. Folks at home, we specifically wanted to talk aliens that were not from the 40K universe.
Right.
Because that would be easy. Both of us would be like Tau,
Eldar.
I mean, we were just naming the aliens.
Vespid.
Right? Like, exactly, right? So that wouldn't go well. So we said that what we would do instead is non-40K ones specifically. Right. And so here we go. So some of these, by the way, are repeats. Brett and I have some of the same favorite aliens.
Yeah.
Including this one. Well, I guess I shouldn't spoil Brett's list, but the Protoss from StarCraft.
Uh-huh.
And
it's possible we like them for different reasons, though. So why don't we?
Well, I think I like them for their technology.
Yep.
I love the design aesthetic.
Yep.
When I played StarCraft, which is one of the few video games I ever really played in like intensely.
Yeah, you're not a video game person.
Not really. But I did play StarCraft even up through college. I think I played StarCraft 2 a very little bit. I don't know enough about StarCraft 2. I'm thinking probably I didn't play very much. Or my memory would, remember it. But I enjoyed the design aesthetic of the Protoss.
Yeah, they're very idealistic. They've got a cool vibe.
Yeah.
They're definitely in the world of like the 41st millennium where there's no good guys. Like the Protoss are the good guys, right? They're pretty good.
Well, and then they're kind of compelling because they had there's like infighting in the plot a little bit, and there were good ones and bad ones. And I think honestly, like I've seen a lot of comparisons to them to the craft worlds. A lot of people will kind of say like that's like the similar kind of vibe.
And the original game designers for StarCraft came from Games Workshop.
Oh, okay.
So it's no coincidence that the Terrans, have Marines.
Oh yeah.
And they're fighting the Zerg, who look a lot like Tyranids. And then there's these wispy, technologically magical, psychic Protoss.
Oh yeah. I guess I never really put that together. Everybody at home's probably laughing at me for this.
But there's only so many tropes you can, and everything's, all of this is adapted from other sources. There's basically nothing original anymore. But in this case, it's more than that. Like the original game designers of StarCraft came from
Okay,
Games Workshop.
Good to know. So also then, this thing, how do we pronounce this, Brett?
I have no idea. I had to Google it, but it's maybe Yautja?
Yeah, I was going to just put Predator from Predator.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Big fan of Predator from Predator.
Yeah.
I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Kroot, right? Like a cool elite Kroot.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I think we all kind of fans of Kroot from 40K want an elite character or shaper to be more like this, right?
Exactly. Totally.
Kind of scary in close combat, cool shooting weapons, can appear out of nowhere, kind of stuff.
This is what Kroot should be.
Right, but I like that kind of tribe. I like the hunter culture.
Yep.
And they've made enough movies from this series and comics and stuff. Megan's a big fan of the comic books. That they've kind of developed the culture, and it's pretty cool. I'm into it. Again, the technology's cool. I like the code. Protoss also have this code. And same with my next choice here, which is also not exactly sure how to pronounce these, Sangheli. In Halo, the original Halo, they're just called elites. And they're really very similar. I kind of like these reptilian, honor-bound aliens.
Right.
With cool technology and interesting characters. And all of these characters kind of have the ability to see something in humans or question the path they're on. They're a little more compelling than maybe the xenomorph or the Zerg or the Tyranid, which is more like the force of nature. Okay, NTSs are
NTIs?
NTIs, sorry. I don't have my glasses on here while I'm trying to do this because I'm also trying to paint an Autarch. NTIs from the Abyss. Now this one technically I guess would not count because they live underwater on Earth.
Okay. Why does that not count?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, I see, because they're not from another planet? They're not aliens?
Yeah, they're technically, maybe they've even been on Earth longer. There's only one movie that has these guys in it, and there's not a lot of background beyond that, from my understanding. So I think I'm safe to have these guys on my list, but they're pretty cool. There's actually I found this out kind of late in life. There's 2 versions of the Abyss.
Oh.
One where you see these guys a little bit more in their non-kind of water form, and one where you really only get to see them in their water form. And outside of their water form is super cool. So this is one of my favorite movies, and it's kind of a weird one. A lot of people haven't seen this movie.
I have not seen The Abyss.
A lot of sci-fi fans have not seen The Abyss, and it's it's definitely one of my favorite sci-fi movies. Up there, for my last one, I almost put the Ra from the original Stargate movie.
Yeah, that would be,
almost because I just love the actor, Jay Davidson's, the portrayal of Ra is just incredible.
Did you get into Stargate?
Just the original movie. Did I get into it? No. I didn't watch the show or anything like that. What about you?
I watched the movie, and I had friends who really liked Stargate, and so I'd be over at someone's house hanging out, and there'd be Stargate on in the background, and so I kind of osmosed some of the show.
I see,
but I never actively sought it out and watched it.
I see. Yeah, same. And okay, finally, Kang and Kodos, whose last name is actually Johnson. Weird fact. From The Simpsons. I wanted to have a goofy fun pick. I don't know the name of their species. I'm not sure it's ever been revealed in 30 years.
I don't even know who these people are.
Well, they're the aliens that occur frequently on the Treehouse of Horror episodes of The Simpsons.
The aliens.
Yeah, there's only and they're just very kind of cliche, stupid comedy aliens. And And, you know, ironically, probably they have had more airtime than any of the rest of these aliens because they're on The Simpsons.
They're on The Simpsons,
which
yeah.
has been on for 30 years, over 30 years.
So even if they're only on for like 2 minutes in an episode.
Yeah. Brett,
Do it.
what do we think? What are we thinking?
All right.
Before we get to yours.
Yeah. I think that's a good list.
Okay.
I'm impressed. There are some things on there that I'd not heard of.
I'm surprised you've never seen The Abyss, actually.
Never seen The
That's really
Abyss.
why I want to stop you. You should watch The Abyss. I think you would like that.
Okay.
I'm kind of curious.
Classic sci-fi, but
kinda
also kind of horror, suspense horror too, right?
It is. It's got a little bit of horror suspense.
Is it jumpy?
No spoilers.
Is it jumpy? Like, is it jump scares?
Um,
Like, would Meg do it on her podcast?
no, probably not.
Okay.
I don't think it's. I think it's a little bit more of like a suspense.
Yeah. Okay.
A sci-fi suspense. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at yours. I'm excited. We know there's some repeats, but
Okay. Brett's top 5 favorite aliens. So the first 2 are the same.
Yeah. So why do you like these guys?
Surprise. We both play Tau.
Yeah.
We both like good guy aliens. We both chose Predator and the Protoss. Yeah, so the Protoss were my main race when I played StarCraft, and I basically didn't play anything else. I was just like only played Protoss, and I did play.
Just like build like 12 carriers, load them up, and just send them over.
You know, I tried a bunch of different builds. I did air toss. I did back when StarCraft 1 was a thing. I did,
That's all I'm talking about.
Reaver
Sorry,
warp-ins.
Oh, Reaver, yeah.
You could bring the Arbiter over, and then you just like warp like 10 Reavers into their base, and just like instantly dead. And by the way, it's all cloaked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of Dragoons. Like, it was fun. You could rush with them. You could do cannons.
Yeah.
Anyway, I liked their lore, and when StarCraft 2 came out, I basically just bought it for the single-player campaign and played. I didn't do any multiplayer, and I just basically played the Protoss in the single-player campaign. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I liked the Predator. I agree. Like I don't know that I necessarily loved the character of the Predator in the original movie, but once they started fleshing out the culture and the species and gave it some backstory, I was super into it. So yeah, I like the like you said, all the same reasons you said. It sort of has a Kroot vibe, the warrior culture and the field craft and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, third one, I had to look this up. Flora Colossus is the race that Groot is. So if you've ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy, Groot, the like walking tree guy, who's adorable when he gets made into a baby, this is like his race. It's called Flora Colossus. I had no idea what that was. I had to look it up.
He's like a tree man?
He's like a tree man, yeah, and he's like also kind of a good guy alien, right? Also, I did not know this when I looked up the name of his species or race. The character Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy is royalty. He's like the king of his whole species.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to get blasted here because, that just happens. But correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not a fairly common? That seems to be quite common. I'm learning in all of the different superhero movies. Am I wrong on that? Is Aquaman, Jason Momoa, was he not like a prince?
Yeah, he is.
And Black Panther involves a prince. Is this not like a common?
I think so.
Yeah. Batman, super rich guy.
Superman's just a normal dude, though.
On his planet. That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's sort of a common. That seems to be common.
I think so.
Yeah.
Next up,
everyday people aren't really capable of that much.
Yeah.
You have to be kind of rich and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you have to come from
it's
some means.
It's just a good superhero movie lesson. All right, moving
cool
on.
tool belt.
Yeah.
Mon Calamari from Star Wars. So this is Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. That guy.
Classic.
Squid Man.
Classic.
Squid Race. Their spaceships are super cool looking. They kind of look like StarCraft carriers, honestly.
They do, yeah, they do. You're right.
They're I just like their he's like a super smart admiral, happens to look really weird, and he has a great line in Star Wars. So
Yeah.
I'm into him.
Star Wars is funny. I was thinking about Star Wars. I was like, are there any alien species in Star Wars that are really cool? And I was kind of like lamenting and thinking it's one of the reasons I'm not a super big Star Wars fan. I think is
Right.
because, and then every time I bring this up, everybody like deep Star Wars fans are like, oh, well, what about this in the books and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't read
Never
the
read the
books, but like
books,
in the movies, it's really just the white side and the black side, or whatever they're called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of wish that there were more aliens in Star Wars.
There are tons of aliens. In the movies, though, they just don't like develop them very well.
Well, it's like Jim Henson, right? So it's like, how many cool Muppets can I design?
Right.
Right. Like not as opposed to like there's this one alien species that has a big role or whatever.
I mean, so I almost chose Wookiees instead of Mon Calamari, but I was like, I like Chewbacca and he's like a cool dude, but like, I feel like Admiral Akbar doesn't get enough love.
Chewbacca's the gold one?
He's like the.
Oh, okay.
He's like Han Solo's buddy, you know.
Oh, okay.
With the crossbow.
I'm being
Okay.
a Star Wars troll
All right.
by pretending to confuse Chewbacca with
You just wanted me to
C-3PO.
do my Chewbacca voice.
Yeah, and that I always want to hear Brett's Chewbacca voice.
All right, last one is Transformers. So the race of robots that transform into other things are called Cybertronians. And Transformers is one of my favorite IPs. Mm-hmm. Has been since I was a kid. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything like, other than the fact that they're robot people, I don't know that, there's anything, like obviously like, Optimus Prime is a pretty cool dude. He's like got some good life lessons to dish out. But I don't know that there's like any sort of redeeming, sort of cool traits about Cybertronians in general that I like, other than just that I sort of have nostalgia for giant robots fighting each other that can transform into cool vehicles.
So I'm sorry, these are aliens or they're robots or a little bit of both?
So there's a planet in the galaxy, somewhere else in the galaxy, called Cybertron.
Okay.
And there's a race of sentient robotic beings that live on that planet, and they're called Cybertronians. So maybe this is a bit of a liberty that I took, but at some point somewhere, it's like explains why Optimus Prime, an alien, happens to look like one of our tractor trailers. Oh yeah. That's like
Transformers 101.
No, it's actually, it takes a little while for you to figure that out.
Okay.
But basically, they have the ability to turn into whatever they want.
Okay, so they like to turn into things they think we like.
They turn, in this case, they're using it for sort of camouflage, to like get around on our planet without attracting attention. So when they first land on Earth, they're these like generic robots that look super generic sci-fi robot-y.
Okay.
But then he like walks up to a tractor trailer, he scans it, and then he's like, okay, cool, now I can turn into a tractor trailer.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and this happens with each of them. They like each sort of land on the planet, they walk over to a car they like, and they scan it. And for whatever reason, the Autobots all decided to scan cars, and the Decepticons all decided to scan planes. Seems like a bad choice. Planes are like sort of better at,
lots of things,
fighting than cars are.
Yeah.
But
somehow they managed though.
But they, through sheer force of will, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our list.
Yeah. Well, very exciting. In general, I will say that in 40K, you have to get pretty deep into the Xenos list before one of the Xenos factions, before something else is one of my top favorite armies. And I won't say which Xenos faction is my least favorite, but I think everybody probably knows.
Least favorite?
Least favorite Xenos faction 40K. But I will say that I do like all of the Xenos factions. in 40K. Probably more
I have no
than
idea, Zach.
what my least favorite.
I get Eldar. You
I
like
get
Tau,
blasted
you like
for I get
Necrons.
blasted for my orc takes.
For orcs. Okay, I didn't even think about
probably orcs, but I do still think
hadn't
orcs
even
are
thought about orcs.
right. I see.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really think of them as like for whatever reason we're just conditioned to think of orcs not as aliens because like orcs come from fantasy world and so do elves. Right?
They're flora, right?
Yeah, they're fungus. They are fungus. So anyway, hopefully more xenos to come from GW in this year. It seems like that is the case. So I'm excited.
Yeah. What are you working on, Zach?
I have done the helmet.
Zoom in on you here.
Okay. Done the helmet. Use a little contrast paint to get the plumes there, the different colors, and some dry brushing and edge highlighting here. The eyes are done. Still need to do a gem on the helmet. And then here I have done the started here on the cloth on her armor. This stuff is mostly done, but I'm not going to assemble yet. Now I'm going to do just some details. So I'm going to paint this gun and the sword, and then a couple of the other details on her. She's got like a pistol holster here and a bag here, and then I need to do some gems. And then we'll glue it all together, do some edge highlighting, and that's it. How are you doing?
Good. I did some orange. I've been doing some work on the orange, and I've decided to do one of the sept emblem on his chest in orange, but then the rest we'll do, all of the rest of these markings we'll do in, I don't know. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm changing my mind.
Ooh, on the spot.
Eraser.
On the
four
spot,
dries.
I like it.
Yeah, I struggle a little bit when I'm doing a new model with the balance of my two accent colors. So the dark gray is meant to be the main color, and then the light gray and the orange are each meant to be accent colors. And I sometimes struggle a little bit with like how much of each of the accent colors I should put and where on the model.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think this is a case of like, I was about to go overboard on the orange, and so we're gonna walk that back.
Can we zoom in on you?
Yeah.
Well, not zoom, but the producer view kind of want to. Yeah. Oh yeah. Orange helmet's cool.
Yeah. So I was gonna do this center icon in orange, but nope.
Now, one thing I know you're worried about, like the stark brightness of the orange. One thing you could try is being really careful with like the Sotar and just giving the orange helmet a spray with phalanx yellow, like a quick.
Ooh.
And you might then have to do a little bit of cleanup on the gray, but on the plus side, it's just yellow, so it'll be easy to clean up.
Yeah.
With your dark gray. But sometimes when we brush paint, we get that problem, right? Where like we've done nice shading with our airbrush, but then we go and we do like a solid color with brush. I'm actually literally doing this right now as well, as I paint her gun Corvus black. What I've actually been doing to the Corvus black elements in my Eldar army, like usually it's a gun for like a ranger rifle, just paints the shroud runners, right? And they have that, or her gun here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Mechanicus standard gray through an airbrush and kind of cover the red and very carefully just hit it a couple times. Like some really careful sprays, just to give it that same kind of level of shading that the rest of the model has.
That's a really good idea.
So yeah, because otherwise we get to this like gun on her and it's just like flat, matte, black, like there's no shading, right?
Right.
So
it's a really good thought. And I have that problem a lot. I usually think of, we've talked about this before, where like you usually think of airbrushing as like step one, and then when you do all the airbrushing, and then you sort of switch over to brush painting, and then you do decals and maybe some edge highlighting or some weathering, and then you're done. Like but you actually can do airbrush, brush paint, and then go back to airbrushing again. Like it's not forbidden.
No, and we've got the masking putty and etc. So it's very doable.
Yeah.
I'll actually show that off here in just a second as I finish painting just a couple more things on her, this Corvus black color.
I'm gonna zoom in on you.
real quick here. Pull back a little bit. So just doing a couple of things here. Corvus Black. There's her holster. Here's her gun. Got a little. You guys can see my little. On my brush, there's a little piece sticking there. Oh, maybe that's what I'll use my special new scissors for.
Oh, cutting off a little bit of mold line or something?
No, cutting off this stupid little hair on this brush that's not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. We got it. We did an on-site fix. Hopefully it holds. So we do just the Corvus Black, and I honestly I've been using Corvus Black for like things I want to be black recently more than Abaddon Black. Especially on my, I don't know, the Abaddon Black is so, there's something about it. I love it for some things. It's so final, and that's not the right word. It's so
black. Yeah. I think of Abaddon Black as like, what's that Fanta Black, or like the blackest black. It's like, if you want it to look like nothing, that's the right color.
Exactly. Okay, so she's got a little strap around her leg here that we're doing. Corvus, cool. All right, so now that her gun is finished here and her holster is finished here, I think those are gonna, oh no, she's got one more little bag here. And this bag that I'm about to do on her right hip is not one that I'm going to like try to hit with the Mechanicus Standard, but I will show you guys here. Oh no, this is Abaddon. Oh my gosh.
Do we not have Corvus?
No, I have Corvus.
Good. Crisis averted.
Crisis averted. All right, a little bit of here on my wet palette.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, I have to say, I have not been, you guys might have noticed I was wearing glasses a little earlier. I'm learning I can do detail work way better without my contacts in, which means I need to wear glasses to see chat.
Oh.
which I don't love. So I only do it, I think I'm only going to do it, when I'm working on something like this. If I'm working on terrain or something like that.
Yeah, it's fine.
But about a month or so ago, I could not finish the Custodes cape on stream because I couldn't really see it.
Oh, wow.
And I'd been up kind of for a while. I don't know. I have a lot of excuses, but ultimately the one I found to be true was that I can't really do that kind of stuff with my contacts in. So there we go. Much better. Cool. Okay, so she's got that. Now what we'll do, I'll show you guys here real quick, and you just want to be really careful when you do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Sotar. I think, honestly, I'll say I'm not going to do it, but you could, if you were really careful and want to maybe mask a little bit, you could even do this with a Badger. Okay, so I take that, and I am going to add a little bit of Mechanicus Standard Gray, which is kind of my favorite color to subtly highlight Corvus Black with. So put a little bit of Mechanicus Standard Gray in here.
Oh, that's good. That's good advice. Yeah. And then just give it a little bit of shading, a little bit of variation in the tone.
Exactly. Check my flow. This is a situation where I really do want to be very careful. So I'm going to get in kind of close. And I'm just going to hit some of this gun here with a little bit while carefully avoiding her arm, her armor, her hand. So it just gives it so it's not quite so solid black.
And this is what the Sotar is like. This is what it's made for, is like highlighting one part of a model without getting anything on the other parts of the model,
Yep, totally. Totally, hopefully.
Totally, hopefully, maybe?
Yeah. So there we go. Okay, so I'm happy with that. We've brought a little bit of shading into the gun, so it's not just like this flat black, Corvus Black here. We'll put a little bit here on her bag. There we go, just a little bit there. Okay, cool. So I will say that's like what the Sotar is good at. I actually probably would not. As I sat there doing it, I said, you could probably do this with a Patriot. I probably wouldn't have done that with a Patriot.
No.
But what I was going to say is I could have masked. With the Patriot, I would have just had to mask more. So same thing, just more work.
Yeah.
That's all. How are we doing on Super Chats, Brett? Do you know?
Yeah, we were caught up, and I just saw a new one come in. Let's take a look. Thank you, Omniscience Sphinx. Hey Titans, I want to do a red armor orc army, but do I want to use green on the skin or another color? And what other color should I use?
Well, it sounds like you answered your first question.
A red armor orc army.
Yeah.
I think, no, he's questioning what color to make the orc skin. And
Yeah.
I think
He says he doesn't want to do green.
Well, he's asking should he. I think what he's questioning is whether, or they're questioning is whether it would look too Christmassy if you did red armor with green skin.
I will say I personally don't entertain that. We have a friend in the area, Sony, his army. He has an Iron Jaws AOS army. It was on stream a few months back, and will be on stream again sometime soon. And he has them very red and very green, and like I don't know, I just don't do that. I don't look at an army and go Christmassy. Now we all have taken our army to the game store, just like we were saying, Brett, right, with your pose. We've all taken our army to the game store, and the first person somebody says is, "Oh, it was a Christmas army," you know. But look, red and green go well together. I don't know. Yeah, like they go well together. What can you say?
Yeah, they look good together. I worried about that with the Templars when I was thinking about, which we were talking about which color tint to do, and we were talking about how if you decide to do blue tint, which is popular and looks good, you end up with sort of bone or white or bone shoulder pads, sort of a dark blue.
Oh, you got like
color,
a red, wine, blue.
And
thing?
then you've got red weapons. Yeah, you end up with like America World Police, like go America, America Marines.
America Marines. Look, I've got America Samhan. I mean,
they're pink. They're not red.
It's salmon.
It's salmon.
So let's not say anything we can't take back.
Okay,
Brad.
but it's not red, is my point.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. Well, okay. Well, Omniscience Sphinx is asking two questions. So first, I would say go green. Don't let the Christmas thing make you not paint your orc army green.
Sure.
And green and red look great together. Like they do. Cultural norms aside, right? I guess that's the right cultural, not norms.
Yeah, they're like opposite each other on the color wheel for a reason. Yeah, because they go together.
And yes, there's the Christmas association, but I don't know. They still look great together.
Yeah.
What color skin are you? Go ahead.
The thing that I would suggest to mitigate that, if you're concerned about it, is do like an off-color green. Like, don't have it be.
Let's say like Kelly
deep forest green.
Kelly green.
Yeah,
right?
don't have it be like deep forest green. Have it be like a pale, a whitish green or a real yellowy green or like a really dark brown green or something like that.
Right.
There's ways you can have it be green without like screaming Christmas,
Yeah, I would agree with Brett, Omnissiah. I would say if you are concerned about it, play around with your red and play around with your green. And yes, there are Christmas greens and Christmas reds, and if you put those two together, then maybe every now and then
like Christmas. Yeah.
Someone in the game store is going to be like, "Oh, what's going on with your Christmas army? What's up? Yeah, Christmas army." Again, I think I wouldn't like.
You should bring that army back in 6 months when it's Christmas
Why don't
time.
why don't you bring that army out during Christmas? See how it does then. Yeah. So I would just say like I wouldn't worry about that personally. But if you are worried about it, then play around with the reds and greens. Otherwise, Brett, what color skin do you like for orcs other than the traditionals?
Oh, so I like greens and yellows. So I would, if I weren't to do green, I would do like a mustard yellow, like a dark mustard yellow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think like yellow and purples are like the the two other kind of colors we see people kind of consider when it comes to orc skin. And frankly, I think either could be compelling. I don't know. Green's hard to beat, though.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, even if I didn't have red armor, I would still consider an off shade of green just to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. And you and I are both big fans of that. My Simhan are not the scarlet for a reason.
Yeah.
That they normally are. I wanted to do like a little bit of a variation, and
we talked about the Black Templars.
Yeah,
for sure.
So good luck on Messiah, but don't be bullied out of using green.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know. I think it'll be good.
Yep.
And we've seen red and green orcs before. Like they look great. Evil Sons are red, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Bryce brought up a good point in chat that there's a ton of other detailed colors, leather straps and metal bits and other things that just it makes it not just all red and green.
Bryce has red orcs and they look incredible.
Yeah.
Bryce, post your orcs in the Discord if you get a chance at some point, and his orcs look incredible. And what Bryce has done actually to really tone down that look is he does a ton of like silver via divots.
Yep.
Like all over like the metal on his orcs.
So rivets?
Rivets.
Or divots?
Sorry, not divots, rivets.
Okay.
Rivets.
Because you could do divots.
No.
That would be more like battle damage.
Actually, I think he's done that too. But yeah,
a little bit of both.
There's just like scratches and dents and the rivets on like all his vehicles and stuff. And it looks great. His orcs look really good, actually. Yeah.
Thank you, Monty Frankel. Yay, stream! Question. My reds, especially when trying to blend them lighter, end up pink. Is there a way, aside from better paint, to make red, quote, brighter, unquote, presumably without having it look pink? I have thoughts on this, Zach.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think the answer is don't use white, use yellow or orange.
Yeah.
So if you add white to red, it'll get pink. Mm-hmm. If you add yellow to red, it'll get sort of more orange. And yeah, I think yellow or orange up to yellow is the right, quote, right way to, or the classic way to highlight red. And it's what I did on the Templar. So like I have red guns and I want to edge highlight them. I use actually this orange we're using right now on the Cadre Fireblade is the orange I use for edge highlighting those red weapons. Yeah,
and but by contrast to darken, we use green, right? We darken red. Yeah. Red's funky in this way, and Brett's 100% right. Even this here, when I made this color for my Simhan, I kind of had a sense of the colors I needed. I knew yellow and white would both be involved to make coral. And I had to just keep adding and playing with the ratios to get something I liked.
Oh, coral, that's what it's called.
Coral is what I call it, yeah. So I would say Brett's 100% right. Yellows and
oranges
and
up to yellows.
Yeah. Good luck. White does make pink. He's right.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing if it's not what you're going for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, white. It's weird because white works with to highlight a lot of different stuff, but weirdly not red. Weirdly not red.
Okay. I'm doing a gem.
And lean back just a little bit. Right.
Oh, there we go. Okay, doing some gems here. So I put black here. Gonna put black here. She's got a gem there and a gem here. Do a couple coats, a couple thin coats. There. Here is her helmet, which I have off of cork, which is not great. I should still have it on cork, if I'm honest. Right. Oh, this is a tiny one. Okay.
What size brush are you using? You're using your normal brush.
This is a Citadel, the synthetic. And this one says STC Glaze.
It looks like a number 2, maybe?
Maybe.
Or 3?
I don't know. I don't know, yeah. As always, when we're doing Craft World, we're like thinking about where are gems and where are not gems.
Oh my gosh, because you could just do, there's so many bumps on the model
Yeah.
that could be gems. And if you
Right.
were to make them all paint them all as gems, it would be insane. It would take
Yeah.
forever.
Sorry guys, my hair keeps getting in the way. Oh my gosh, this is so much easier without my contacts in though, I will say that. And also, here's something I will admit. On her arm, on her right arm, is this area. And I keep like looking at it and being like, oh yeah, I have to paint that. And then I realized I don't know what it is. Fortunately, I saved all the bits. So unfortunately, I won't quite be able to finish this model today. I think there's like a weird shield gem type thing on that goes on her arm here. And I'm actually it's actually a good happy accident because I was wondering how to get my dark blue color that I put on my Simhan on her. And so whatever that is, I'm going to paint that like the dark blue. And that'll paint them quick, but I'll have to do it later because I don't know where that bit is.
Thank you, Ty. My True Scale Mark II 5 Marine bodies arrived for kit bashing Badab War kill teams. Thoughts on True Scale Space Marines? Also, do you think you'll return to 30K? You want to go first?
I'm just going to go first with a question.
Yeah.
What does that mean anymore? I don't know in the world of Primaris what true scale Space Marine means. I see. So it's the size of a Primaris probably.
Yeah.
But in Mark V armor.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
That's super cool. That's really cool. And actually I really love the idea of like Primaris like retroactively like using old armor that's like sized up for them.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
It's kind of cool, right? Now, like, I think there's like a little too much going on with like the Primaris lore combined with, hey, we just wanted to make bigger Space Marines.
Yeah,
and it can get a little murky.
It feels a little weird to me.
Yeah,
I agree.
That said,
part of me, and I think there's like a part of the community that just kind of wishes GW like
just made them bigger.
Just been like without sort of any fanfare, just been like, here's the new Marine kit. It looks amazing. By the way, it's 20% larger.
Same, and that is certainly what they did with Chaos Space Marines, right?
Yeah, you're right.
No fan. We were chatting about this on the stream the other day, and we were trying to figure out, not the other day, but the other month, honestly, at this point, and we were talking about what was the first Chaos Space Marine to size up, and we think it was the Dark Vengeance, but if not the Dark Vengeance, it was actually Thousand Sons Rubric Marines. And when they did it, and then same later on with Death Guard, when they did these, they didn't say anything about it, right? They just made new Marines that were bigger. And nobody.
Everyone was fine with it.
Everyone was fine with it.
Everyone was like, oh, these new models look cool.
So, I don't know. And hey, look, they're trying stuff. We're all trying stuff all the time. So in this regard, I'm into it because they were like, hey, we'll do this unfun, exciting thing with Chaos. Since Chaos players are known for that.
Yeah, well, we were talking before the show about like, I was like, Zach, what new models are you going to get for your Eldar army? And you're like, oh, I'll probably get new Shining Spears. And you've got a squad of Shining Spears, but like, you're not afraid to just like, oh, this new model came out for my army. I already have a squad of 6 of them, but the new model's amazing. I'm just going to throw away all my old models and get new ones. Like, that's not something you're afraid of. I struggle with that a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of folks do as well.
I'm very excited to throw my Vespid away one day.
Get rid of them entirely, yeah. No, not me. I'm gonna keep those old models forever.
But when new Vespid come out, they're gonna look so sick. One day in the next 10 years, when new Vespid come out, they're gonna be all like spindly and like flying up in the air and like.
That's what my Vespid look like now.
Well, yes, you did
forever cutting them up, and
you did, and they do look great. They do look great, but plastic sculpts.
Yeah, plastic. Actually, you're right. That would do it. Metal sculpts standing on pegs to be in flying poses. Don't on 25mm bases. Don't stand up very well.
Now, to the second part of the question, will it ever come back to 30K? Remains to be seen. I really don't know. I will say about the 30K. The 30K scene in the Bay Area is very interesting. A lot of the people who play 30K in the Bay Area, I can only name a couple who are also actively play 40K.
Yeah, it definitely feels like an either or, at least in the Bay Area.
I don't know why. If the people just aren't into 40K or what the deal is, but That's kind of like the main crowd, and we're friends with a lot of those guys, and they're great guys. I guess I'm currently the opposite. I'm really not that into 30K. It's almost like a relativity issue, and the relativityness is they don't do much. It feels like it doesn't have that much support.
Yeah.
The support that comes out, I think, appeals to a certain type of person that I'm not, which is like, hey, here's this really super cool Primarch. You've been reading about him, which I haven't.
Yeah.
Here he is. He's in this big diorama thing, which I'm like, it just seems like more to paint that I don't want to paint. So for me, it hasn't been appealing to me recently.
Yeah.
And I would need to see it just appeal to me more, for lack of a better, for lack of a more intelligent way to phrase that. Yeah.
So my two factions, Tau and Black Templar, are not in 30K.
Yeah.
And so I'd be looking to like learn a whole new bunch of lore and like start a new army. And I think that's, for me, the issue is that if there was a new game system, 30K supported, if they supported more, if that game system supported more factions, which is, given the setting, i.e. the heresy.
It's not, Tau aren't going to be.
Tau aren't going to be in there.
Tau are never going to be in there.
Just aren't going to be in there. It's not, it's never going to happen. So I think, I think part of what appeals to me about 40K is the huge variety of factions that exist in the game. And a lot of that goes away with 30K, kind of by definition.
The lore is cool, and I did find the lore, as a Tau fan, at the time I only had a Tau army. My second army I ever painted was a Thousand Sons Heresy army. I did find the lore easy to get into. They've done a great job with it. The books are very good. But ultimately, it left me wanting more in terms of the alien species, right? We're here doing a big aliens episode.
Yep.
And that's what Brett and I like. So I'm not sure. I'm open. I'm open to it. But right now I'm like, it need to come out with new rules. Again, same thing. I played 8th when 8th came out, and Heresy stayed in a version of 7th. And when I went back and would play some Heresy games, I was like, oh, this is rough.
See, that's the reason that I want to play Heresy, is because I actually do like 7th ed rules.
Oh, I see.
I like armor. Well, I actually never played 7th, but I played the most recent edition before 8th I played was 5th, and I like things like armor facings and glancing and penetrating hits and things like that. Non-random charge distances, although I guess that existed in 7th. Right?
In 7th, not in 5th, but in 7th it did,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, did we answer Ty's question? True scale Space Marines. I think true scale Space Marines are amazing. When I first got into the hobby, there were a bunch of people that were doing Primaris didn't exist, and so people were like cutting Space Marines at the shins and putting in little bits of plastic card to like extend each bone, basically grow each segment of each limb.
Right.
And each Marine was this like Golden Demon scale project on its own, just to like convert it from nothing. And I thought that was amazing. It was one of the first like real epic hobby projects that I ever saw, with somebody who was like super into making true scale Marines. And I just thought, it just blew me away that like, wow, you're not just buying these kits and like assembling them, you're like buying these kits and then completely hacking them to make, this other thing. And they came out with that white dwarf that had the rules for true scale Marines, which were like, basically what Custodes are now.
They made new rules for him?
Yeah, Games Workshop released in White Dwarf a movie Marines.
Right. They were like insane.
And it was like
to take like 4 Marines against like a Tyranid army.
Yeah, like 4 Marines against a whole 2,000 point army. Maybe it was 6 or something. And it was...
Yeah, okay.
Each model had like a re-rollable 2-up save and a 4-up involved.
Yeah. It's so interesting how it so like devalues the factions other people love in a way that I don't think they think about at the studio when they get Marine excited. Like Tyranids are cool. Lots of people love Tyranids. Like what? I don't want my Tyranids devalued. Like, I've got to take 2,000 points of Tyranids against 6 Space Marines. Like, I don't know. But,
That's true.
It is cool in its own way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, Brett.
Yeah.
Speaking of Golden Demon.
Yeah. Oh, we have a thing.
Yeah, we want to talk about, you guys have first mentioned our friend Seth. He's a friend of the show. He's kind of a Bay Area legend around here because he's very involved with Game Castle, our local store. Seth is an incredible hobbyist. We actually are aiming to have him on the show soon to show off some projects he's working on as a guest every now and then. And
which button do I push to bring up the overlay?
I think it's going to be, I think it actually says missing. Did I label it? Or
missing, yes.
Yeah.
So
So Seth, unfortunately, had his car broken into, and what people took from it, whoever took from it, what they took was his
Golden
Demon project. Yeah, his diorama project here that he's going to be was intending to submit to Adepticon, which is next month. Seth has since recovered mostly everything, but the diorama is a crashed Thunderhawk, and this is the Thunderhawk. It remains missing. So, look, we know many of you are not in the Bay Area. And we know that and Seth knows and has talked about it's probably a long shot, right? But you know what? Every bit helps. Or
every bit helps, yeah.
Could help, right? So if you're in the Bay Area, if you're in California, if you're in any part of the U.S. where this Thunderhawk shows up, at somebody in the Discord.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, and I think Seth really would just want it back. I think he'd would love to have it back to work on the project again. Fortunately, like we said, he was able to recover most of the rest of the project.
Yeah.
But his chances of, unfortunately, it's unlikely he'll be able to submit this year to this, which is a bummer because we've known Seth for a while.
And he's been working on this project for months.
Well, this is what Seth does every year. He does one of these.
This is his big thing.
Yeah. So kind of a bummer.
So he's obviously pretty heartbroken right now.
Yeah, keep that in mind, and keep in mind, like wherever you live, always be thinking about when you have stuff in your car.
Right. Oh gosh, yeah.
Just be careful, guys out there. You know, so many people in the Bay Area have had their stuff yanked, and only to find out that, of course, like what is somebody going to do with like a.
That's right.
Like an orc army,
Yeah, I imagine. But they think it looks like a gun case or,
some electronics.
Some electronics, yeah, a camera case or something.
Yeah.
And so somebody thinks, oh, like I'm going to be able to sell this. And then they get it home and they're like, what the heck is this? And it just ends up in a dumpster because.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck it is.
Unfortunately, we were chatting. We said we're not too surprised that he got everything else back because it would have been a lot of pink foam and hobby stuff.
Right.
And the plane probably looks like a good toy for maybe someone in the person's family or something like that. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate. We are really sorry for you, Seth. And we do hope to have Seth on the stream. He's a great.
We actually
source.
were hoping to have him on the stream to literally work on this diorama.
Yeah, we pushed it because of all the cool, because of Eldritch Omens and all the cool stuff coming out.
Yeah.
But we were intending to have him on maybe one of the next couple of weeks to work on this diorama. But we will have him on. He's a fountain of knowledge and not just such a nice, quirky dude. It's just a really funny dude to be around. And not the type of person you want to see this kind of thing happen to. You don't want to see this happen to anyone in the hobby. Seth, such a cool guy, such a helpful guy over the years. So a big bummer. Seth, we're thinking about it, and we know you'll get back into it next year.
Yeah. Hang in there.
Yeah.
All right. Zach.
Yes. Are we checking in?
Should we check in
Let's
and
check
then
in.
do some fan stuff?
Let's do some fan stuff, too.
Let's check in first.
Okay. How are you doing? Let's check in with you.
Yeah, I'll check in first.
You'll check in with you?
I'll check in with me.
Okay, let's check.
This guy is getting there. So I've got the orange basically done, and I've done a bunch of set markings in or these Tau logos in light gray. And now I'm doing some black. I'm doing some black on the weapon. I'm doing his sort of shin guards in black. And the last step after I do black is going to be hooves. And then I don't know if I'll get to edge highlighting today, But yeah, after the hooves are done, this guy's basically going to be, ready for detail work. By detail work I mean weathering, chipping, edge highlighting, all of that kind of fun stuff. Which I almost feel is a project in and of itself. I feel like the way I hobby is I start by painting the model sort of to this standard.
Yeah.
And then I set it down and I take a breather and I'm like, wow, that was a lot of work. I feel really good about where it's at. And then I have a whole nother hobby project which is messing it all up. It's just like weathering it, chipping it, like doing the basing, and maybe edge highlighting or something. But yeah, I feel like there's this whole other hobby project that is messing up the first hobby project I did.
I see. If we want to zoom in, I'll kind of show folks where I'm at. I haven't put her head on yet, or a cape, but here she is. There, we just finished the star glaive with little glow effects there. We kind of hit opposites, did the opposite side thing here. I need to do a little bit, turn that silver, I think. The gems are done. Need to do just a couple little highlights here on, just some edge highlighting, honestly, on her and on her gun. And then this main body is just about finished. I'll probably maybe see if there's any other spot for details, but I think that's pretty close. And then that's it. And then we have to glue her together. Her base is already done. So she's pretty close to being finished. I can actually start getting ready to glue some parts together on her. So yeah, I'm pretty close. I think I'm slated, Brett, for 2.5 hours to be going 2.5 hours.
Great.
And as always, we do have fan stuff.
We do have fan stuff.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at fan stuff for the week.
Now, fan stuff this week had a theme. It was Oops All Aliens. If you submitted something that wasn't an alien and it was really cool and you're like, well, that's no fair, don't worry. I usually go back for next week. But we did have some cool alien posts. So should we take a look?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Here we go. First up, in our weekly segment, we like to call, okay, we didn't actually ask him, but we think John would like this. We have some, a Necron Silent King.
Yeah, Silent K, as we now call him.
That's right.
I don't know, this model's amazing. Like,
there's so much going on.
There's so much going on. This person did a great job. And when you do a great job on Silent K, you get on Hobby Titans fan stuff. Because it's a great model. You did a great job. I don't know. What else there's to say? The minarets, like it's so cool. It's such a cool model.
Yeah, there's like Silent King himself is Silent K himself is like a whole model, but then he's also got this like Catan shard behind him, writhing in agony, and that's got a whole thing. And then there's there's a whole story there. There's a whole dais, and then he's got these pylons hanging out with him.
Yep.
So there's so much to this model.
So much. Man, I love the Necrons. We didn't do 40K favorite aliens, but they are my third favorite aliens.
Third favorite aliens. Next we have this looks like an orc.
Yeah, there's a lot of orcs. People love orcs.
Is that a boss?
I don't know. It's an orc. It looks great.
With an axe with a gear.
What I really loved about this model, honestly, was the weathering they did on him.
Yeah.
It's very orky without being like too much. It's grimdark. This is just a great grimdark orc.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I actually love the yellow. I love yellow orcs.
It's got green skin, Zach.
Green skin, which I like. I love the weathering on the yellow, on the armor.
Yeah. The yellow armor looks good with the green skin. Yeah, I'm into it. And the base looks, it's a nice looking base, but doesn't take away from the model. It doesn't overshadow the model.
Yeah.
That's great. This is, some Harlequins.
No,
Drukhari. Dark Eldar, yeah, Drukhari.
Yeah.
I didn't see the surfboards.
Yeah. Classic Taoist.
Didn't see all Eldar are the same, right?
All Eldar are the same.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, these guys look great. This is a great color. Our friend Andrew Whitehead, you've heard blab about him a number of times, a great painter in the area, has a similar color. His is a little closer to actually my Tau. I think he uses the same color. But yeah, these look great.
And the patterning on on the transport is amazing.
Yep. So this was amazing. I love the Hellions. I love the Venom. I love the windshield. Yeah, really nice work all around. Good picture too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. I love these guys.
Some stealth suits.
Yeah, some stealth suits. One of our favorite models. Well, one of my favorite models.
Your favorite models.
Brett likes the unit. I think he likes the older.
That's right.
The XV-15s a little more, who are also super cool. And this user did a version of something I did, but they actually went a step further, which I like. They cut the aerials off the top, or didn't put them on.
Yeah.
I did that with mine too, because they just break. But then they went and put them on the side.
On the side,
and
yeah.
where they're a little better protected. And I think that is like the
cool.
move. Yeah, that's the move.
It's a cool upgrade, yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it. Good thinking. Whereas I was just like, I'm getting rid of these. These are gonna break because they
throw them in
did
the
break.
garbage.
Yeah. Great stuff. Yeah.
All right. Oh, Umi's Storm Surges.
Oh yeah.
There's a story here.
Which I didn't even know. I just picked these, but you were
Yeah,
like, oh yeah.
Umi's one of the mods on the Discord.
Okay.
And he had one Storm Surge, and he wanted 3. And he went on an epic journey to try to find 2 more Storm Surges. He was in the UK, and so first he was trying to get them from Element Games, and they told him that they had them in stock and could get them to him, but then...
I'm sorry, are Storm Surges in scarcity in the UK?
There's every Tau thing cannot be had. I just learned this. I was like, oh, just go to, because
Well, you and I have so much Tau,
yeah,
so we
Techno
haven't...
messaged me and was like, hey, do you have is there a way I can find 3D printed SMS bits for my hammerhead or for my devilfish? And I was like, no, can't you just get them on eBay? And he showed me the link. They're it's like $40 for a pair of SMS bits on eBay right now. Everything is crazy because everyone's excited about the book. Anyway, yeah, apparently there's a Storm Surge scarcity. Just like there was when the Hammerhead was previewed, you couldn't buy a Hammerhead. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Anyway, he eventually found 2 more Storm Surges. I don't know from where, and painted them in
Maybe we don't want to know.
and painted them in 2.5 days.
Yeah.
And now is
the proud owner.
Is the hero we don't deserve.
Yeah, is the proud owner of 3 Storm Surges.
Yeah.
Which are super cool in the new book.
Yeah.
They've always been a little on the cool side, honestly, and
now they're just amazing.
they're good. They're cool.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're overpowered or anything like that, but they're just a cool, fun giant robot, which is what we all wanted from Storm Surges.
Yeah. Anyway, I love beyond the story. I do love the scheme, the color here.
Yeah.
This is hazard striping, right?
I think it is, yeah. And I think one of the challenges with 3 giant things like this is making them all look different. And he's posed them differently enough.
Together, but different.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Next up, we have some Craft World. Look at the paint scheme on this. This orange fading into yellow.
Crazy cool.
With the blue is oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of working with yellow, orange, and red.
Yeah.
There you go. That's how you do it. Yeah, this is cool. And there are some other pictures. If you guys want to check out more, there's this usually has more stuff in the Discord. A few more pictures. This one I think was the best picture. I love this though. And I'm excited for Craft World. And yeah, to your point, I was bringing up earlier that I was actually having a hard time finding any Howling Banshees as well.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
New releases will do that.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing to do is you just have to guess. I was like, man, Tau railguns are bad. This was 6 months ago. I was like, Tau railguns are bad. So I'm going to start painting my Tau railguns because I'm guessing that they're going to be good when the new book comes out.
Yeah.
I was not disappointed.
Yeah.
I was all in on railguns.
Yeah.
6 months ago.
It's a good call.
I was not disappointed. GW does this thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I bought most of my Simhan army when Eldar were not popular, and I had no problem.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
I was able to get everything, and there I was. Yeah, nice and easy. Now I don't know. You asked if I'm going to add anything. Maybe not.
Maybe you won't be able to.
Maybe I won't. Yeah. But these guys look amazing. Awesome work.
Yeah, that's great. And this is Soups
yeah,
with,
Soups.
is this an orc pilot inside of a dragster or something?
It is. It's one of the buggies. And he has a whole picture of the buggy as well, but he did an up-close shot of this. So I was kind of like, well, look, he took the time to do this like close-up shot of the monitor he painted, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is what we're showing. But it is like a whole model, obviously, beyond just the cockpit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks amazing.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yes.
There's a guy in one of the other Discords I'm in who did something similar. He made a long strike model, and he modeled, because long strike's like pointing or yelling or something, and his other hand he's like got it sort of resting on the side of his cupola of his cockpit.
Yeah.
And he converted that arm to look like he's typing on a laptop, and he made out of plastic card a little like laptop that he's like, typing on with one hand. And then he, on the screen, painted like the classic Windows XP, like the blue sky with the rolling green hills.
Right.
And the clouds.
Which is like right nearby where we are, by the way.
In miniature. On Longstrike's laptop.
That's amazing.
Anyway.
But I will say this, hot take, Tao don't use Windows, they use Apple.
They do, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, Brett just gave in on that.
What?
You
Tao
just
would never, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Tao uses their own proprietary operating system.
But it would be more, like if Tao came down,
It would just work.
they would be Apple
It wouldn't
users.
need like to update their drivers or anything like that.
Yeah, there's like, they like all the internal components, right?
Yeah.
And like, let's not kid ourselves. running a PC is a little bit like sometimes praying to a machine spirit.
Right, yeah. It would be called the Tao operating system.
You heard it here, folks. Tao use Apple.
The Tao operating. No, it'd be the Tao operating system.
Oh, they would have their own.
Yeah.
I see. Failing that, though, I'm saying if they had to pick.
If they showed up on Earth and humans were like, hey, we'll support you, but you have to switch over to one of these two operating systems. Which do you choose? Yeah, they'd choose Apple.
I think
right?
they choose Apple.
Mac OS?
I mean, just based on how things look.
Operating systems don't have a look, Zach.
They'd be like, what are all these wires?
There's no wires in an operating system.
No, like...
You're talking about hardware
the hardware
now.
as well.
Oh, well. Okay. All right.
That was it. Yeah.
That was it. That was the fan stuff.
Awesome alien fan stuff, folks. And we'll put some non-alien stuff in case
Next week.
Yeah, next week, and we'll look back and see if we missed anything. Okay. So here's what's left on my Autarch. Almost nothing actually, except this little. Let's do a little silver here on this little symbol. Which I'm now seeing the Autarch has a ruin that is their symbol. So that could have been a clue.
We were talking about this before the show. I love dropper bottles. As you can see, all of Zach's bottles are like pop tops, and all of mine are dropper bottles. But this is the problem with dropper bottles: is you don't use a paint for like 3 or 4 months, and then you go to use it, and the tip has dried paint in it, and then you squeeze it, and then nothing comes out, and so you squeeze it some more, and then nothing comes out, and so you squeeze it some more, and then the top flies off and sprays paint all over the room. Ask me how I know.
Yeah.
And so you're stuck, like either sticking something in there to poke the dried paint out, or like popping the thing off and pouring it out anyway, at which point I'd rather just have one with a lid that's designed to do that.
Yeah. The dropper
Rant over.
Yeah. The best type, of course, we always bring this up, and the best type are the one Minotaur come in.
Right.
Which is this one with like the cap. But that has its own problem, which is, as you guys can see here, like it'll kind of sludge its way out a little bit sometimes.
And the reason that one's good is because it has essentially a dropper and the pop cap, but you can unscrew the cap and pour paint back into it if you need to.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, the best.
It's so funny too. Like this isn't like hard technology, right? To figure out. Okay, gonna give this Autarch a quick varnish, glue her on her base.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So you're You're on to basing? I'm on to basing as well.
Oh, fun. Well, my base is done. I just have to
see.
glue her onto it.
You pre-based?
I pre-made a base.
That's good.
Typically, when I make bases, I make a lot.
Oh yeah. What size base does the Autarch go on?
Well, my Autarch is going on the 32, I think.
32. Okay.
I hope that's right. It might not be, but that's what
I don't know.
that's what she's going on because that's what I have. It looks cool. And my Cadre Fireblade's also on a 32. I know that's technically incorrect. I don't really have a lot of. Oh man, did something out of order. I don't have a lot of plans to play competitive 40K. So if I ever played competitive 40K and somebody called me out on it, I would be like, okay, what do you want to do? Let's like.
Yeah,
What do
let's
you
be
want?
reasonable
Just,
humans
when you charge,
now.
just like roll 2. I don't know, like you know what I mean, like whatever.
My aura abilities, I'll only do 5.5 inches the whole game.
What do you want?
You okay with that?
That's what I would. Yeah.
What if they said, "I want you to be kicked out right now"?
Then you know what? If they said that, we'd be like, let's call the TO over. And if the TO was like, you're out, I'd be like, all right, I guess I'm headed home.
Guess I'm not cool enough for you guys.
You know what? Like most times when I'm going to an AOS or 40K event on like a Saturday or Sunday, like the morning of, I'm like, man, kind of staying home and hanging out with Meg sounds just about as good. Honestly, better.
Yeah.
So
and you have to like talk yourself into it at the last minute.
I'm like right now I'm signed up for an AOS tournament on March 6th.
Yeah.
On Sunday. By the way, Meg, just I didn't tell you that yet, but I am. And you know, March 6th is going to come, and I'm like, okay. And I'm going to go and have a lot of fun, of course, like I always do. But you know, if I got there and they were like, hey, you're out, I'd be like, hey, Meg, I'm coming home. What do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly. We have a couple more super chats. Thank you, Perplexing Manticore. First time super chat, big fan of the channel, looking to paint some Drukhari, but not very inspired by the traditional paint schemes. What are some suggestions for some interesting Drukhari schemes?
Before we answer Perplexing Manticore's question,
Yeah.
can I just say that I loaded Mecha Varnish in here to varnish, then realized I had one more little thing to airbrush.
Okay.
Cleaned out my brush from the Mecha Varnish.
Yeah, and then put more Mecha
Then put
varnish.
more Mecha Varnish in. Okay.
We're professionals.
What do you think, Brett? What Drukhari color scheme? I have like a few. What calls to you?
You know, so I would.
You're like Tau?
I'm actually going to say the same thing I said with orcs. It's like a dark yellow. And then some browns.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, like orange, yellow, brown.
Yeah.
I think is all cool.
Yep.
Combinations of
Yep.
that.
I think you could also do something don't go like full Harlequin, but I think you could do something cool with pinks. I don't know. Is that one of the traditional ones? I guess I don't know.
I don't know. Pink. You could do awesome stuff with pinks and pink and teal. You could. It's an army. Like I love my synthwave aesthetics.
Right.
So
right, exactly,
this army could totally lean into that.
The synthwave, yeah.
And on the fan stuff, Manticore, we had that super cool Aldari army, the craft world army that Brett and I were into.
The orange and yellow.
I feel like that with like some cool like weathering, which for craft world or for Drukhari like rust
Totally
or
appropriate.
like that kind of stuff like would look super cool. So like. Sometimes I think with Drukhari, my favorite Drukhari armies have always been weathered. You know, think of Andrew Whiteheads, right? So like, think like what will rust? Like, what are you going to weather? And maybe you don't want to, right? Maybe this is just a me thing. But if you're going to weather, how are you going to weather? And what would look good with the weathering? Like you need to incorporate like rust or slices of metal, like bare metal exposed into your color scheme.
Yeah.
And so kind of a thought there. But yeah, yellow, orange. There's a guy. So there's a Aldari podcast that used to exist from a local friend of ours in the area, Brian Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
You guys will know him as the person that painted the Studio Death Guard army.
Oh yeah.
For Tabletop Titans. And Brian Harvey ran a podcast for a long time, along with this guy, who lived in Miami, I believe. And I think there's always this reddish yellow kind of like deep red and yellow Drukhari army. I think it was Thor's that posts up a lot. So maybe look up Splinter Mine Drukhari army or like red Drukhari, but it's like red and yellow and it's absolutely beautiful. Nice. It looks so cool, and it looks like
throwing brushes.
It looks like nothing else.
Red and yellow, yeah. I think Drukhari don't have to be like green and purple. I think you can do. I think there's a lot of things you can do with Drukhari.
And there is like a red studio army. I think that has shown up as well. I think it looks great as red and black, red, black, white, red, black bone. Similar almost to like your Templars.
Yeah. Cool. Good ideas. Thank you, Liberty Fires. They say, Brett. Thanks, Liberty Fires. Good to see you in chat.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing okay.
Yeah.
So what are you up to, Zach?
I am. Okay, I did the thing I was supposed to do, which is
in the right order.
I just want to address this.
Yeah.
This is a little piece that's like sticking up. It had some bone on it from this. It had some red on it from before. And by leaving it like unaddressed, it's just like this blah part of the model. And it's the part of the model that sticks up the most. So like it can't be the blah part of the model. So I wanted to address the little tiny spike. And I'm going to do one more thing on it. Oh no, do I have enough? Yeah, okay. One more thing, super carefully, which is give it just a little bit of, I'm going to zoom in. Okay. Give it just a little bit of highlight love.
Nice.
There. A little bit like that.
Yeah.
Okay, just a little bit of attention because it is sticking up like that.
Yeah, it's like that part of the model. It needs.
People are going to see that, right? Okay, I'm going to have to go back and add her arm thing whenever I find that bit. Clearly, it is a nice. It's going to be an easy addition. I can see, like it's just going to. I think I know what it is. I think it's very similar to what a Dire Avenger has, which is like this because they have a glaive and a shimmer shield type thing. So it's going to be like a version of that. So it's going to be easy. And like I said, I'm excited to actually make it dark blue because I don't otherwise have any of that color on her. So here we go. We're just going to do some quick mecha varnish on her. Ooh, that's not quick.
And this is the matte. This is the matte varnish that we use.
Yeah, this is the matte varnish that we use, and I don't like the way it comes out of a Sotar, if I'm honest. This is really a Badger job.
Yeah,
but I was just kind of being lazy and not reaching over and grabbing the completely clean and ready to go Badger that I would have
sitting right there.
It's sitting right here, and I would have just had to swap. So here we are, using a Sotar to do this job, and it's fine. But like, you know what? We were talking about this earlier, and you were saying how like this would be a really stupid thing to do for like a whole army. And you're 100% right, because this is, I don't love it.
Can you imagine like priming all of your models
with a Sotar?
With that thing, yeah. That'd be awesome.
I'd hate it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for my Autarch on foot. I don't have a foot Autarch, so here she is. She's super cool. I do have 3 wave serpents, so she's gonna have a ride, and she's got some folks to hang out with, including some Dire Avengers.
Yep.
I'm gonna get her some Banshees to hang out with, change it up. Really excited. I love Autarchs, and
it's a cool model.
You know, Farseers get all the love, and I get it because I love Farseers too. And the Autarchs are cool. They are like psychic, but like not psychic enough to like manifest rules in 40K.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Like they have like a lot of Craft World out are, right? Most of them kind of are. So
psychic potters and psychic bakers.
Yeah, so that's sort of what like that warlord trait that prevents Overwatch is kind of about that.
Oh, I see.
It's like about being
just like a minor psychic power.
It's like just being able to see into the future and like time you're smashing into some Tau broadsides correctly.
You know, I feel like this is something that I really enjoy with the game is like when I'm playing against somebody and they play an army that I don't know a lot about. I really enjoy asking them about their lore. And like, hey, they're like, oh, I have this stratagem to like get +2 to charge. I'm like, wait, stop right there. Tell me what's happening right now. Like, why are you getting +2 charge? And they're like, and you just see their face light up and they're like, oh, I have these like combat drugs. And they get all hyped up and then they like,
One of Brett and I's, I think, safe to say, favorite people in our local gaming area is our friend Colin.
Yeah.
And Colin will not take a Scout Sentinel without taking that stupid chain sword on the front of it.
Right.
And it's awful. They have one attack. Their attack goes, I think, from strength 3 to strength 4.
No, it like gets like 1 AP
One
or
AP.
something. It's like strength 5 and they like get 1 AP.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's so bad. But Colin's always like, I just played him, and he was like, well, and he got into combat with my Hornets, and he was like, well, this is going to be cool because I've got the
chainsword on my Sentinel.
And he rolls 3 dice. I'm like, and he had like, no, he had 2 Sentinels. And he rolls 2 dice. I'm like, are they just want to attack each, Colin? He's like, yeah. He's like, but they hit on 4s. And I'm like, but they hit on 4s, okay?
Cool.
Cool.
Unlike most vehicles, which hit on 6s.
And then what are you wounding me on? And he's like, well, I'm strength 4 or 5, so I guess 5s.
Yeah.
And he rolls like, I don't know. Nothing happens. But
he
he's
was
so
excited.
excited.
He was so excited.
He's so excited for a chainsword to be attached to the front of basically an ATST walker, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put her on the glam cam.
Okay.
She's gonna hang out some Tau.
Okay.
Oh man, Brad, I'm sorry, dude, but she would wreck these little breachers. Man, she's quite bigger than them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not just codex creep; it's scale creep. These models are just all getting bigger.
I do have her on a base that's kind of
oh yeah,
like
she's
a
got
homemade base.
tactical rock.
It's a tactical rock. So I do have her on a tactical rock.
As you do.
As one does with their HQs.
Their brand new Autarch.
Yeah. Now, this is cool. She's not on a bike, so I don't know. Sim Han usually on a bike, right? But here she is.
But you know,
she's gonna hop out of a wave serpent.
Yeah, not everyone can be on a bike
and kill some dudes.
Some people have to. Sometimes the ground needs pounding. It's not going to pound itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to get some something on the back of her banner there. It looks a little naked when it spins around. But yeah, super happy with her. She's got all my Sim Hun colors. Excited to have her hop out of a wave serpent and run into shut down Overwatch, shut down all that. Oh, fight first.
Yeah. I'm not excited about any of that.
No, she doesn't have fight first. She gives fight last.
I see. That's even better.
Yeah. There she is.
That's great. Zach, before, I've got one more step to do, so I'm not going to throw mine up just yet.
Okay.
But we do have one more super chat.
Oh, fun.
From Liberty Fires. Thank you, Liberty Fires. Zach and Brett, I'm doing well. Thank you. First ever 40K game coming up on Sunday. Wow, can you imagine? First ever 40K game. That's amazing.
I know. I want to be Liberty Fires. I want to go back to my first ever.
First ever 40. You can only do that once.
You can only do it once.
500 points of Black Templar versus Grey Knights. Wish me luck on slaying some witches.
He is the Black Templars.
Oh, Grey Knights are the witches.
They are witches. They're like the opposite of. Yeah, how come those two haven't gone into a thing?
Right, exactly.
And Grey Knights get into things with everyone.
I feel like they just haven't run into each other.
Yeah.
Like the Templars are on this crusade, and so they're traveling around the galaxy.
Yeah.
And if they just like never ran into Grey Knights, then yeah, they probably would.
Yeah, there's probably like a whole group of Ultramarines dedicated to making sure Black Templars and Grey Knights never find each other. Yeah. Liberty Fires, that's very exciting. Enjoy your first game ever. Do you remember your first game ever?
Of 40K?
Yeah.
Gosh, I sure don't. It would have been with Tau. It was probably, at the time I wasn't, in a gaming group that required fully painted models, et cetera, et cetera. So it was probably just like with proxies.
Okay.
Right? Like glued some, legs on bases, and I was running around with like Fire Warrior legs or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
I do remember my first game as an adult. I don't think I ever played 40K as a kid. I played Fantasy a little bit, but as an adult, I do remember my first game. It was in the Santa Clarita Mall not Santa Clarita Mall. What is that mall called? If Meg's in chat, she'll remember. The mall, Megan, Santa Anita, the Santa Anita Mall, near Pasadena in Southern California. There was a Games Workshop there, and I played there. And I played this older dude. He also was just getting into it.
Yeah.
He might have been in his mid-40s or something like that. I was probably 29, 28. I can't remember.
When this was just a random person you met or someone you knew?
It was a random person I met, yeah.
That's cool.
And it was kind of funny. What happened is there were a few of us there, and I think it was kind of like an open play situation.
Right.
And there were a bunch of like young kids, like teenagers and like 10 and 11-year-olds and stuff. And we were all kind of trying to figure out who was going to play. Right. And
that awkward moment where everyone's trying to figure out.
This guy, like the kids are like yelling and like trying to do all this goofy stuff, and this guy's like, let's go play. I was like, okay. And then like I got like this nice game in with this like Dark Angels player. We were both very new.
You remember it was Dark Angels?
Yeah, it was Dark Angels. We were both very new, and we both had our armies fully painted, and he had played a couple games, but not very many, and I was like, oh, it's my first game. I don't remember the outcome. I will say that. I don't remember the outcome, but I remember it was fun.
Yep.
And I do remember like all these like kids, and he like his face was like a deer in headlights. He was like, I'm a 40-year-old man. What am I doing here?
In a Games Workshop store in a mall.
And these kids are crazy. And he just saw me, and I kind of had the same look. He was like, hey, let's play.
Let's do this.
Okay. I was like, yeah,
let's do this.
Please. Good idea. Because the kids, I think, were trying to get him on like a 2-on-2, or like there's three of them. And he's like, oh, he's got Dark Angels. Let's play. Nowadays, that idea, like, we get enough games in that sounds fun. Like, if like there are three kids in a mall, I'd be like, okay, cool, I'll play with you guys. Like, let's do it. But he was probably not getting a lot of games in, and drove all the way out there. And
I remember when, like, before the internet was like a big deal, and like you just like that was the hub. You just showed up at the store, and like, hoped there was somebody cool there to play with.
Right, yeah, and like even when the internet was a thing, that's like what you still had to do, right? When I lived in. Megan and I lived a year in Maryland, near my family, Pennsylvania, during the recession, actually with my family. And there was a Games Workshop in White Marsh, Maryland. And I would be like, hey, Meg, I'm going to go down there today. I would drive down there. I have no idea what was going to happen. And more often than not, nobody wanted to play. And I was like, oh, man, to drive back up to Pennsylvania. But every now and then we got a game in. Are we ready to look at this guy? Oh wait, take the Autarch off. Let him have he's gonna have his moment. He's gonna have his moment.
All right.
She's gonna absolutely murder him in close combat.
Oh yeah, totally. All right.
There he is.
Cadre Fireblade.
I love the orange helmet.
Yeah, I gotta do I think a little bit of edge highlighting and a little bit of shading on the pants still. But I got the blocking done. I did a lens effect on the eyes and on the gun barrel. And I think we're ready for some sort of next, and I got to do some chipping and some weathering. So I think there's still like another 2 or 3 hours on this guy.
Yeah.
Guys, this is why you airbrush your models instead of brush paint. Zach finished his whole Autarch in the amount of time it took me to like just paint inside some panel lines. It's kind of crazy how much time you save when you just like airbrush it.
Yeah, as much as you can always, right? I think so.
Yeah.
Are we caught up on super chats?
I think we are. Let me just double check. Yeah. That's it.
Okay, fun. Awesome. Yeah. We did fan stuff.
We did
everything.
We did all the things.
It looks like is what I'm eating for dinner.
Oh yeah, there's a poll.
It looks like that one.
Meg made a poll, and then I don't know that she was necessarily able to end the poll, so it just kind of ran.
Okay, let's see. It should pop up at the bottom.
Yeah, there we go.
Looks like I'm eating hot dog pizza was an option. Why am I eating these options?
You'll have to ask Meg that later. But
Meg would have never ordered a hot dog pizza. I don't even know that exists.
Somebody suggested it in chat, so I think it was a meme option.
A meme option. But what if it had one?
Then that would have been a problem for alternate timeline, Zach. But fortunately, it didn't win. And you don't have to answer that question.
I'm going to be surprised if she can find Thai food. I don't know that we have a Thai food, though. I mean, we have Thai food in the Bay Area, but I don't know that we have an order place that we go for.
Well, we painted some models tonight.
We painted some models. Yeah, we have some cool alien leaders to add to our army.
That's right.
You're gonna love that Cadre Fireblade. He gets a lot.
He's gonna be doing some work.
He gets a bad rap, but I think he's fun.
Yeah, he's gonna be doing some work. What are we doing next week, Zach?
Do we know? We kind of know.
I don't know.
Do you remember?
No.
Because it kind of involves you. Since you'll have to be here.
Is this...
we were talking about doing Tau Scatter.
Scatter.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So we might do some terrain.
Good.
And what that would mean is all Tau all the time. Back to all Tau all the time. It was Tau all the time today, but not all Tau.
That's right.
This will be back to all Tau all the time. And yeah, we have Brett has been printing out on his build plates.
Yeah, it's over there.
Yeah, just like some. Oh yeah,
we did it last week.
We started to address them. Oh no, the glue didn't. Oh no, those were never.
No, they were just precariously balanced.
Those were never glued. These were glued on my glue stick, on my pink foam glue stick, and they still are. So we have some scatter we need to do because we do have an upcoming Tau board.
We have a board that we're starting to think about.
And maybe we'll even start working on some of that. I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're going to do some Tau themed terrain.
Yeah. So that
sounds good.
Yeah. It looks like another super chat snuck in.
Oh, all right. Let's take a look. Thank you, Andrew Ward. Just had to drop a quick super chat to say my first game was at White Marsh. Even then, no one wanted to play.
Oh my God, Andrew, that's so funny.
Is that what the place you were just talking about?
Yeah, in Maryland. I remember going down one time, and there was a guy there, and he played me with Blood Angels. It was 5th edition. And Tau were like not that great, and I was kind of going down hoping for like a game with like a classic, because in Southern California I was getting games in with like this guard player, and they were great. Town guard was always a good matchup. Necrons, it was cool. Like I was getting these, and this guy's like, yeah, I've got a like sanguinary guard. It was like a sanguinary guard meta list, and like it was when you could these guys could like deep strike. Charge out deep strike, which used to not be a thing, but they could do it.
They could do it, yeah.
And like
they broke all the rules in the charge phase, which is just bad news for
these.
Tau.
Like, I was just like sitting there, and then he just wiped me out. I was like, cool. You know what? Actually, the no game option I think would have been better than this.
Abort to hanging out with Meg.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna just drive back up to hang out with Meg. So, Andrew, I wonder if that store's still there. I know there's one actually now in Columbia, Maryland, which is near where Adrian, close to where Adrian and I both have family. But I don't know if the White Marsh one is still there.
Yeah.
It's a small state.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Zach.
We did it.
We did it. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks everyone for joining us. And worth pointing out, tomorrow we do have a video coming out. 10 a.m. Pacific time, and it's going to show how I painted the new Shroud Runners.
Yeah.
So the guys that were on there at the beginning, and it goes through the paint scheme a little bit more clearly than I did today.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did we do it?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. Another super chat.
Thank you, Ethrain Bunker. Trying to chat one more time. Zach, I found the model for your Farseer kit bash. I took eBay, but it finally got found.
Oh, that's right. So Ethereum Bunker is the one who's making models of all of us.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know what you are. Do you know what you are?
I have no idea.
Okay, I don't know what you are. I don't know what anybody is.
So they're making 40K models, like modeled to look like each of the Titans?
I don't know how much they'll look like us.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, Ethereum is here. But yeah, it finally worked at the worst time. So I guess, awesome, cool. eBay is a gem.
Yeah.
And get Farseers now while you can, because as we were saying, they're going to. I'm very excited to see this.
In another month, you're not going to be able to get a Farseer on eBay if your life depended on it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very excited to see this Ethereum. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, and then Meg says, Ethereum found the model for your Farseer kit bash finally. Okay.
Thanks, Meg.
Thanks, Meg, for that.
We got the message.
We got the message. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brett. Guys, as we like to say here, be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, and always be creating.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.